You know what I love?
Sports.
Love sports.
Sports. When
It comes to Texas A&M.
Where are you getting this information?
Let me tell you.
Welcome to TexAgs.
I need to talk a little sports with you, Aggs. David Nuño here with TexAgs Radio. Billy Liucci here on TexAgs Radio. Olin Buchanan.
We will develop men. We will graduate players, and we will win championships on the field.
The best way for us to win is to do it together.
Do you realize everybody knows who you are right now?
Very thankful for 12th man. They've won us games.
Been in college baseball for a while now, but I've never experienced anything like 12th man.
That's about as pretty a throw-catch combo as there is.
I saw the safety roll, the slot fade. I knew where I needed to put the ball.
Our skill set worked great together. Like, he was more speed and I was more power, and then we put together, it was like thunder and lightning, you know.
You know, if I'm betting on anybody, it's the Aggies.
Yeah, I don't want to start off the show with the news that we're going to start it off with. It's TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Garner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. I will tell everybody as we talk about the Ruben Owens situation, which I know you guys have seen or heard, and if it's the first time you're hearing about it, it sucks. We're going to wait until we get, confirmation from Coach Elko, but he did have a statement. We'll read that here in a moment. But Ruben Owens injured yesterday, first reported by Max Olson, who says he's out for the season. We're going to pause on that until we hear from Coach Elko. But if he is out, OB, what a devastating blow, man.
It hurts because Ruben has a lot of talent, a lot of ability, and, he got his feet wet last year. And I for one, was really looking forward to seeing him this year, thinking this could have been that breakout year for him. I don't know if it's devastating for A&M, but what it does is you're holding your breath now every time Le'Veon Moss and Amari Daniels carry the football.
Yep.
Because that's a big blow. Again, there's no way to you have to accept the fact that it's significant. Not only is he a really good player and, maybe do a real breakout year, but now depth becomes an issue too.
Yep.
And, my point is Le'Veon Moss, very, very capable, probably the starter anyway. And then Amari Daniels led the team in rushing last year. So it's not like you're at a point where, you can't overcome that, but you really can't afford any more injuries.
Well, and the season hasn't started. Yeah.
Right.
It's a couple things. I think from all reports, Ruben was having a great camp. Usually that sophomore year, there's a bump in the level of play. Thank goodness you got E.J. Smith to add to that group. Thank goodness you did that. Le'Veon, I think, was going to be your dude anyway, but this is going to be your next dude. And and if I think I've compared it to Isaiah Spiller and Devon before, like that kind of ratio where both guys are going to get their reps and their touches, I should say. I think it's just devastating in the fact that now you're adding more questions to an offense that has a lot of questions.
Yes.
Right? Let's go through some of these questions. Questions about the offensive line. You feel better, still questions, right?
Yeah.
Questions about quarterback, not necessarily, but if the offensive line isn't good, then yes, you have questions about quarterback, right?
Well, as long as he's healthy. As long as the quarterback's healthy, I feel good about quarterback.
Wide receiver room, we have questions.
Absolutely.
Now we have questions about the running backs because of lack of depth.
Right.
You lose a guy that was capable of giving you 700 to 1,000 yards this year, maybe more, right?
I think he's a potential star.
Yep.
I do.
So questions all around. Let's read Coach Elko's statement from yesterday because it doesn't say much, but he says Ruben Owens suffered a lower leg injury in our scrimmage on Saturday and has August the 10th on there. I will address his injury at my next media availability.
Yeah.
First real scrimmage, right? That was the first real scrimmage.
Yeah.
All right.
I believe so. And I really like him. And, I always go back to it was some lesser team that he had a but he's just showed this outstanding cutback for about a 21, 22-yard touchdown run. And then I always reference this swing pass. I think it was against Auburn where, they had him. And he just tap danced his way out of it for like a 30-yard gain. And I'm thinking, you see things like that, and that's where you can see, this guy has some special ability. So I thought we'd see a whole lot more of that this year. And fact is, you still have capable running backs, but it's you can't lose a guy like that and just gloss it over. That's a significant loss.
It's a significant loss. And different position. And this is football. Every team gets their injuries, but goodness, I just feel like if it's early in the season or in the preseason, Donovan Green last year early, all the guys that we have big expectations for are going down. And it's just a freak incident, right? This is.
Well, I guess we don't know what happened, but look, Notre Dame lost the left tackle last week, right? Texas lost the running back.
CJ
Baxter. That's a part of football, and you can't go in and say, well, we're not going to scrimmage because we're afraid somebody's going to get ready. Because you got to get ready. And things happen in football, and you just hope that you can get through it, and a lot of times you don't. And then you just hope that you're in a position where you have enough depth to deal with it. And A&M does for now, but I don't know. They're really going to have a problem if anybody else got hurt there.
Yeah. Can I give a PSA for a minute?
Do so.
Stop being dumb fans, and I'm not talking about ours. I'm talking about fans in general. If one person from a university, or 6 or 9, says something about your school or your fan base or a person who's injured, don't necessarily think that that's the entire fan base.
Oh, yeah.
When CJ Baxter got hurt, apparently there was 2 or 3 people that say something about, about his injury. That does not speak for the university. That doesn't speak for me. It doesn't speak for you. It doesn't speak. It's just an idiot fan who wrote something.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And like people, I've saw on Twitter yesterday, people from Texas oh, karma. You guys talked about our guy, Aggie. They're going to Aggie, and they do it with a Y. No, it has nothing to do. Well, no real human being, wishes for injuries on others.
Well, if you do, then, especially when they're, 20-year-old guys, 21-year-old guys, then you have much bigger issues than your team. You know, the guy at Notre Dame, he got hurt. Does that increase A&M's chances of winning? Yes, it does. But do you celebrate the fact that a young man that's been trying to get to a certain place and probably doing everything he's been asked to do gets hurt? No.
Well, but I think there's 2 ways to look at things, right? There's one that all fans naturally, hey, we got the advantage there. There's that, right? Then there's another way, well, he talked about my guy or somebody from that family, so now I can talk about his guy. Ha ha, take that.
Well, look, I always say there are, I'm cleaning it up, but there are derelicts everywhere, including here. And there were people on our message board that celebrated or taunted that CJ Baxter got hurt. And I remember thinking that's kind of messed up.
Yep.
I get it that you don't want Texas to win. I don't want Texas to win, but
you don't celebrate
You don't celebrate a kid getting hurt.
But you also don't blame an entire fan base for one guy or 4 guys that he's being an Aggie. No.
I agree with what you're saying. But the people on our boards that celebrate it are just as the big derelicts as the guys that then think that there's some karma. It's never a good thing when somebody, especially college kid, gets hurt.
Ever good thing.
They put in so much effort to try to get ready, and not just in football, in all sports.
I agree.
I remember seeing Manny Obaski, hurt his wrist a couple of years ago and ended up missing the whole season. I remember thinking, man, this is a guy, so disappointed to put in so much work. Or, think about the Olympians, right? Somebody that works for 4 years and then something happens and you're like, I've spent 4 years trying to prepare for this. Now it's gone. I think you are a ghoul if you celebrate.
I agree.
That.
Now let's focus on where I don't want to say I'm okay because I'm not okay, but where I think they're gonna be okay.
Okay.
Le'Veon Moss is good, guys.
Yes, he's good.
He's
good. He's
really
probably
good.
going to be the starter anyway.
The only thing that I caution is just like the Connor effect. It's some of the other players. Like he's only played in 16 games in his career, right? But in those 16 games, he's been pretty darn good, right? I want to see a full season from Le'Veon. But last year he rushed for 484 yards. His long was 36, but he only had 96 attempts. He played in 9 games last year. He's good. Hopefully he plays in 13 this year. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah. He ran behind a suspect offensive line. You know, all those things. I think if you were to tell me right now, and of course nobody can, there's going to be no more significant injuries at that position. If you could tell, I mean, there's always going to be bumps and bruises, nicks and knacks, as somebody used to say.
Yeah.
But if you could tell me today that there's going to be no more significant injuries, I'd say, okay, they're going to be okay at running back then. Because they have a couple of guys that have played and proved that they can play at this level. But the fact of the matter is, you lost a guy with just tremendous big play ability.
Yeah.
So you can't be as good without him, but you can still be okay if nobody else gets hurt.
Last year, Le'Veon Moss's 2 best games were back-to-back on September 23rd against Auburn and September 30th against Arkansas. Yeah. 107 against Arkansas and 97 against Auburn on just 15 carries. After that, 49 yards, 62 yards, 52 yards. He only had 1 carry against ACU and 45 yards against LSU.
Oh, he's more than capable.
Yep.
He's more nimble than you'd think, and to be a big guy like he is. And I think he could have a big year.
He absolutely can have a big year. And let's not forget, Amari Daniels was really good last year.
He was. He led the team in rushing.
Yeah.
Averaged 5 yards a carry.
So, and you can almost anticipate every team in college football, I don't know the level of injury, they're going to have an injury that impacts their team. And sometimes it happens in the preseason, like as we've seen with already 2 SEC teams.
Right. And 2 that we know about. Who knows? We might have missed some.
Right.
It's a fact of life in football, and you hold your breath hoping that you can avoid it. And sometimes, sometimes it happens, and it's painful for the player and for the team and everybody, but you just hope that you can overcome it.
Yeah. Bad news. You can react to it, 979-693-1150. If you do want to call in the show, give us your thoughts. Where are you worried? Are you confident in the running backs that are left? 979-693-1150. If you do call the show, we'll pick it up on the Boss Firearms hotline. You certainly want to get on there. Boss Firearms provides high-quality firearms and components to their civilian and law enforcement customer base. See what they've got for yourself at bossfirearms.com. Let's give away a coffee. OB, what do you think? What number?
Number 8.
For Le'Veon Moss.
Le'Veon Moss.
8th texter that says coffee at 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with a free bag of TexAgs coffee. And this is Coffee Talk presented by TexAgs Coffee. Beat the hell out of mornings by going to texags.com/coffee. We go around the room. We say hi to the people. We say hi to Nick Savage, who's behind the glass. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all.
What's up?
Well, when it comes to, depth, y'all are talking about Le'Veon, obviously Amari going to get a chance, but how big is it for, E.J. Smith? He's going to be one of those guys that probably gets tasked with a little bit more load than maybe he was expecting coming into the season. So it's going to be interesting to see how he embraces that role. And I mean, you're still 3 deep, I guess, at that position, but we'll see what comes out of the presser today. And like you said, it kind of just sucks for the guy if it is as bad as it's been reported, because we get a chance to interact with him when he comes into the studio, and you can see how excited they are when it comes to starting the new season. So hopefully, praying it's not as bad as it sounds, but I'll be looking for maybe E.J. Smith to take a step up into a big role.
Here's a couple of E.J. Smith stats for you guys to look at. Last year, he rushed for 218 yards on 53 carries. The year prior, 30 carries, 206 yards. His sophomore year, 26 carries for 133 yards. He did not rush the ball his freshman year. He did have 3 receptions in that year for 7 total yards. In his career, he's got 1 touchdown. 1 rushing touchdown, I should say. No, excuse me. He's got 1 receiving touchdown. He's got 5 rushing touchdowns.
Well, there's no doubt that his role becomes more important. Is amplified now.
Yep, no doubt about that. All right, let's go to the angry elephant news and social. I feel like I'm sad. I mean, I am, but like,
I mean, significant loss.
Yeah, it sucks. Angry elephant news and social center. Carson Stein. Good morning, buddy.
Morning, guys. How are y'all doing this morning? Could be a little better. Could be a little better.
Covered it.
I did want to.
I think I just said I was sad. I think.
Can I add one more
9
thing?
seconds ago, I go, Opie, I'm sad. Hey, how are you guys doing? Hey, your grandmother died. How you doing? It sucks. She died.
It's not okay. That was kind of a dark route we're going down, but okay. Can I add a little bit onto the E.J. Smith stuff? If you look back at his Stanford days, Stanford's offense was not that good.
True.
And so, who knows? Maybe with the revamped offense,
Yeah, you don't judge him
bigger...
by his stats because nobody.
No, nobody's doing
Stanford.
that. I will say that I can judge the Pac-12's defensive stats. That I can do. Mm-hmm. But no, Stanford, I'm not judging E.J. Smith at all on what happened at Stanford.
Yeah, he's actually kind of an incomplete.
Yeah.
You don't know what he is. But I do know that nobody in like 3 years ran the football well for Stanford. They just haven't.
Not since Christian McCaffrey and Bryce Love.
Right. So, I can look at, say, he had 200 yards here and 250 and say, oh, well, he's not being productive anymore. Well, I think they wanted to throw more in the Pac-12 because why wouldn't you? Nobody could cover. And you probably didn't have a good run blocking scheme anyway.
All right, Carson, take it away.
One thing, Mike in Deer Park texted in and said, happy birthday to Ryan Broninger. So
who?
Mike in Deer Park.
No, whose birthday?
Ryan Broninger.
Who's that?
I think he works
Just
here.
kidding, Bronny. Happy birthday,
here.
buddy. Happy birthday, man. I think he was on vacay. He's back.
Yeah, up in, I think he went to the Virgin Islands, I think.
Must be nice.
Yeah.
Huh. Anything else, Carson?
Wanted to touch on this. Texas A&M women's head basketball coach, Joni Taylor, won a gold medal with Team USA.
That's right.
They barely
beat France
67-66, and they were about a foot away from tying that game up if you watch that final shot.
Hey, what'd you think about your boy LeBron?
Oh, it's easily the greatest Olympic feat that's ever been. It's top 5.
You mean the 4 turnovers in the fourth quarter and
you
the 2
mean,
of 7 shooting?
You mean being a 40-year-old man?
Game? Yeah,
you mean being a 40-year-old man and beating the best teams in the world?
Go ahead, Opie. I'm proud of Steph Curry. I love Steph Curry. I do.
I don't think Carson should be on the air anymore.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he's just. Let's talk about it. Like, we decide, right? We have a choice in the matter.
The guy that you mean the guy that wouldn't stand for the national anthem and was.
He pushed a little kid yesterday. Did you see that video?
Kid. I saw that wearing his hat.
I don't know if he pushed him, but he disregarded him.
I think it was somebody in his entourage.
Let's not talk about all the stuff Michael Jordan's done.
Oh, you mean 6 championships and Defensive Player of the Year and just willed his team to victories? That Michael Jordan, who turned others into Hall of Famers? That Michael Jordan?
And LeBron hasn't done those things? We're turning this into LeBron James Michael Jordan
this
debate.
This is called Texas A&M show.
Yeah, we should probably stop.
TexAgs. And, hold on. Billy's calling me on, it's no more going to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center ever. Okay, deal. Tells an awkward silence.
Yeah. Look, America starts with A&M.
There you go.
So,
and what's more American than Michael Jordan?
So, don't be disrespecting America.
Hey,
LeBron,
your role model fired from Fox Sports.
Who's my role model?
Skip Bayless.
Oh, he got fired, huh?
I think he got fired. Yeah. Or they didn't renew him, which is like a firing,
Which
right?
is like firing, right?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Good old Skip.
Old Skip Bayless. Huh. You know, here's the thing. Skip Bayless is a very talented writer when he was a columnist. But I really believe he got to that point where
became a caricature of himself, right?
Because no matter how outrageous the other side of an argument was, he would take it just to bring attention to himself.
Yep. People who know him say he's nothing like his TV character.
I've heard that.
Yeah.
But on TV, if you want to say the sky's blue, he's going to come out and say, no, it's purple, and argue it, even though he may not believe the point he's arguing.
Right.
But it's he realized that wearing the villain or being the villain in the point counterpoint was profitable for him.
We should do a Skip Buchanan segment where you just go opposite of everything that I say.
I
Everything.
I don't think that'd be a good idea.
Yeah, in fact, Billy will call me for that one too.
No, Billy probably wouldn't call you. I'm already doing it.
Yeah, that's true. Skip Buchanan, ladies and gentlemen. All right, we'll hit a break. We'll come back with 24 in 24, number 10 OB. Looking forward to talking about this one. All right, sponsorship and vendor opportunities through the Association of Former Students. If your business or organization is looking for an opportunity to engage with Aggies, then you need to check out the Association of Former Students, who brings Aggies of all ages together during events held throughout the year. We're talking marquee events just like Aggie Ring Day, All Aggie Hullabaloo Gathering. They all welcome tens of thousands of guests, and there are many sponsorship and vendor opportunities available to get your brand in front of attendees. These events offer a wide variety of both digital and in-person options to promote your brands. This includes title sponsorship, naming, on-site presence, activation, recognition in social media posts, and much, much more. There's also advertising opportunities in both the Texas Aggie Magazine and the Aggie News newsletter, which are seen by over 230,000 people. So if your business is ready to engage with Aggies, choose a partner with the organization that's been supporting the Aggie Network for over 140 years. For more information on options available through the association, please email sponsorships@aggienetwork.com. It is the Association of Former Students. Can you hear when he's telling me what to do?
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know. TexAgs radio.
Sounded like when I'm asking Irma to scratch my back. I'm saying a little more to the left, no, back to the right.
Well, you got your own back scratcher. You don't need her.
Well, if she's around,
You'd rather have the hands.
Yeah. She has those nails.
Yeah. Just makes you like a dog. It starts moving your arm.
I get goosebumps on my, hair stands up on my neck.
It is TexAgs radio.
It is.
And it is presented by...
Now which one we want to start with?
The entire presentation.
The gem of the guy, David Garner's Jewelers.
Yeah. This particular studio?
Yeah, that's the Rollo Insurance Studio. I can see it right there.
He's also a phenomenal human.
Yeah, he is.
They all are. And then you've got this hour itself is presented by...
CC Creation.
Yeah. The Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creation.
Warehouse at CC Creation.
And we're going to continue NASCARing up this segment if you're okay with that.
NASCAR.
Yep. In fact, my computer just froze, but we'll still do it. 24 in 24, brought to you by FBS Appliance. I will give you that read whenever my computer gets back on. It is number 10, Noah Thomas. Talk to me, OB.
Well, first of all, I think, and I'm hopeful that if we do this again at the end of the year, Noah will be much higher. I think Noah is the best chance that A&M has at wide receiver for a guy that could be considered like an all-conference caliber guy.
Yep.
He's big, or he's tall. He's gotten bigger. At least he appears to be. Outstanding hands. And the word is he's improved his strength.
Yep.
So getting off press coverage, he should be better at that. Needs to stay healthy. But the tools are there for him to be a number one receiver. I'm not going to say he's Luther Burden, or something like that, but I think he's that guy that could be, if it all comes together, an all-conference caliber guy.
Remember, I only bring this up because it was Shamar Stewart the other day who said, it's year 3, and he was alluding to the NFL. Same kind of stuff is going for Noah Thomas, year 3. And I say all that because when you look at that 22 class that we all had such high expectations for this year in particular, right? Mm-hmm. This is an opportunity. If he lives up to what we thought we were getting in 22, right? And Shamar and everybody else does, right? Then this can be that special type of season. And I'm not saying it starts with Noah Thomas, but I am saying if he gives us that, if he becomes a wide receiver 1, I think it could be a very special season because he's got the physical tools, he's got the height, he's got the speed. He's only got 5 touchdowns in his last season, but 3 in that first game. Let's see if we have multiples of that.
Right, and that's the thing about him. Against like a lot of guys, stay healthy first. I'm kind of betting that he's one of the guys that benefited from the new strength and conditioning coach,
the Moffitt effect,
because he needs to be stronger.
Yep.
And supposedly has gotten stronger. We'll see, but there's no doubt about the hands. There's no doubt about the catch radius. His ability to go get it. It's just got to all come together for him.
It does,
and if it does, you've got somebody special there.
Yep, no doubt about that. All right, that is 24 and 24. Actually, I'm going to read you some stats before we hit a break, and then Billy will have a full breakdown in the 10 o'clock hour. In 2023, 29 receptions, 359 yards, 5 touchdowns, 12 yards per catch, 32 yards per game. Also, he was the 2023 Offensive Skill Award Team Award, and in 22, the top offensive newcomer and special teams Most Improved Team Award. So there's a couple stats when it comes to Noah Thomas that is brought to you by FBS Appliance, committed to delivering an exceptional experience from start to finish. You can trust them to provide unparalleled service and support every step of the way because FBS Appliance is your trusted appliance store. Visit any of their 8 showrooms across Texas or find them online at factorybuilderstores.com. All right, when we come back, OB, we're going to talk there's some Aggie stuff I want to get into, but also talk about your boy Dion.
He's my boy now.
He's your boy Dion. Well, he was a great Dallas Cowboy.
Yeah.
He was great.
He was.
Yeah. I think he's tarnishing his legacy, in my opinion. I don't like the way he's handling things.
He handled things much better as a player than as a coach than he is as a coach.
We're going to hear a couple of the things that he said over the weekend.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah, I don't like it. And then also we're going to get into some other A&M notes, just like Connor Wigman and Donovan Green being named to a watch list. We'll talk about that. But right now, I know you guys are tired of living with chronic joint pain and knee pain. If you've got pain from arthritis, It's just you can't do the things you want to do. I'm just talking like, yeah, sometimes it's sports things, but I'm talking about bending down and being able to, I don't know, plug in an outlet, right? Plug in an outlet, whatever. The different things you can do at the house. If you want to get down and clean an area. Like I was at my parents' house yesterday and I was moving things around. And if you can't get the mobility and the movement that you want because of pain, you've got to stop that, folks, and reach out to the good people there at QC Kinetics. There are exciting new cellular therapies out there that can get you lasting relief, and the place to go is absolutely QC Kinetics by using their cutting-edge treatments that accelerate your own body's healing agents, revitalizing your joints so that you can move again. So if you're living with chronic pain from arthritis or injury, you need to know that steroids and surgery and pain pills are no longer your only options. QC Kinetics can use advanced regenerative medicine to treat the pain, enhance your joints, restore your mobility, and give you long-term relief with no downtime. Those medical professionals at QC Kinetics are ready to help you get your life back with regenerative, restorative cellular treatments for those achy joints. The future of medicine is right now and is here in the Brazos Valley. It is QC Kinetics. 979-452-6000. QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000. Is your jam, right?
I like Fleetwood Mac.
Yep.
Yeah.
You're more of a Mac or a Fleetwood?
I think it's both. I think Fleetwood, Mick Fleetwood and
Mac Brown.
I'm trying to think of the guy's name. John McVie.
John McVie.
Awesome. And that was his wife, his ex-wife, Christine, the late Christine McVie singing right there.
All right.
I spent way too much time in my life watching movies and listening to music, I think.
And you're telling an audience of people watching or listening to a show. So, hey, it's TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. OB, there's a part of me that kind of actually, I don't like the way Deion is handling it. But I will say, I'll give him credit for staying in character as this NWO style of, he likes being the villain, it feels like, until he's the villain. Does that make sense?
No, I think he likes being a victim.
Okay,
even when he's not.
Better said. Yeah.
I think he tries to make himself into a victim even when he's not. He puts himself in a role to be criticized and then plays the victim because he gets criticized or when he's criticized.
Yeah. Let's listen to a couple little bits from yesterday. Here's one of Deion refusing to answer a question from a CBS reporter.
Eric Christensen with CBS Sports Colorado.
CBS,
Tyler,
I'm not doing nothing with CBS. Next question.
Joe Rigo, Mile
Ain't got nothing to do with
Radio.
you. This is above that. Ain't got nothing to do with you. I got love for you. I appreciate, respect you. Ain't got nothing to do with you. They know what they did.
I'm here in Denver, not national.
You are who you are. CBS is CBS.
All right.
Joe
Ain't got
Rigo,
nothing
Mile
to do with you. I respect you. That's why I told you that. I'm looking you in the eye as a man. I respect you. I got love for you. But what they did was foul.
Okay. They chose him. The CBS, I guess, chose him as the second worst coach in the Big 12. And that's what he's upset about. And CBS Local has absolutely nothing to do with Dennis Dodd or anybody at CBSSports.com.
Yeah, and then I'm going to say, I know
they may not even be owned by different people.
I respect you, but I'm going to disrespect you.
It ain't. I love you. It ain't about you, but you is who you or you are who you are.
Plus, you get paid $5 million or whatever it is to deal with stuff like that. Mm-hmm. To take criticism, and your team went 4-8. You and who knows if they're going to be any better this year.
You are really should be who you are the previous year. You can be who you've been your whole career, right? Like when you're at Dabo Sweeney, he's not trending as one of the top 2 or 3 coaches in college football, but I give him his historical place because what he's been able to do at Clemson. Jimbo is more the last 2 or 3 years than he was Florida State's head coach, right? Right now. So when you start ranking people, you rank them based on the most recent season and maybe the last couple of seasons. How did Deion's most recent season go?
Well, like I said, he was 4-8.
So sorry, you're not ranked higher when you're 4-8.
Now, I think the jury's still out on him as a coach because it was his first year as a FBS coach, right?
Right.
And there's a reason you took over that program, right? It was bad. They were having problems. So typically, Nick Saban had a losing season his first year at Alabama, I think. They were 6-7. So typically it often takes a while to build. But why make you got your feelings so hurt by what somebody did? Was it a Dennis Dodd's article?
I don't know who it was. Somebody.
What somebody
I just know it's CBS National.
That you're not going to talk to anybody else. That doesn't make sense to me. It's like if Mike Elko's offended by something I write, or Buzz Williams is offended by something I write, which is a good chance that's going to occur. So
he doesn't read.
I'm not. Yeah, that's right. He doesn't read the site and stuff like that. But does that mean he shouldn't?
No, he would. He would still talk to me. He would talk to
Nuño, Liucci, whatever. So if you got a issue with me, Schlossnagle had an issue with me. I sent him a text message. Hey, if you ever have an issue with me, come to me directly. I'll talk to you like a man. Maybe what Deion should be doing is whoever wrote this article, maybe he should be able to get in touch. I mean, it shouldn't be a problem. Get in touch with him. Hey, call up your SID. Hey, get me in touch with this guy.
Yeah. there's a way to handle
because
things.
he said, "I'm a man. I'm going to dance," but he's being a man, handling with a guy that had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, and I know you know this. I don't know who owns CBS Denver, but it's not always CBS. Right? Like KBTX here in town is not owned by CBS.
Right, it's an affiliate.
Right. So when I worked at 13 in Houston, we were owned by Disney, but they owned 8 stations across the country. And by the way, if Chris Doring on the SEC network, owned by ESPN and owned by Disney, says something, it shouldn't affect me working in Houston.
Well, you know, what I still come away from that more than anything, though, is you're a head coach that how many times did he say things about kids that he ran off from Colorado last year?
All the time.
You're just not very good. You need to get out of here. You know, we heard all. So it's the whole thing of dish out, can't take it. And he's not even taking it out on the guys who are dishing it. He's taking it out on somebody else.
If he can grade those players on the limited sample size he had with them, then we can all grade him for the limited sample size at Colorado that we have on him. Let's do one more, and I'll probably break in.
Have
Nick.
a thicker skin.
This is kind of a long one. Here's he's going back and forth with a writer from the Denver Post.
Coach Sean Keeler, the Denver Post. Happy summer, my man.
You don't like us, man. Why do you do this to yourself?
Come on.
You don't like us.
Mark likes me, by the way.
Huh?
Yeah. Mark said he likes me.
No,
so
but
that's
you
one.
you don't. Why do you do this, though?
No, I'm sorry. Two-parter if I could.
No, I'm serious.
Football
Why do
question.
you do this? Like, you know you don't. Like, why do you do this?
No, it's not about that. Football question.
No,
Question.
why do you do this? Like, it would be hard for me to really engage in someone I don't like or something I don't like. I'm just asking why. Like, why?
Gotta pay
What
the bills,
did I do?
You didn't do anything. It's not about that. This is
But
a football
why?
question.
I'm asking you why.
Yeah, you can answer, but that's
Okay,
not
answer
your
me.
business.
Because you want me to answer you. So
Yeah,
can you
okay, that's fine. That's fair.
Why?
Yeah. Why? Because I have
Give me
questions.
your why.
What's your why? What do you want to know?
Why do you always on attack? Like, what did we do?
Where am I on attack today? Where am I on attack?
Yeah, I'm not gonna give you opportunities to be on attack. But I'm asking you why. Like, what does it do for you? Like, what happens?
Oh,
here you go.
None of that made sense.
Happy summer. That intro I didn't like.
Well, yeah, that was pretty lame. Well,
happy summer, Omar. Oh, Omar, sorry. Olin?
Yeah. As somebody that understands that you got to ask hard questions sometime, I always say, if you got a hard question to ask, just get right to it. And I guess he's trying to be pleasant, and it didn't come off that way. But still, what I was left with was, what did the guy writer do? Because he kept saying, okay, how do I attack you? Well, I'm not going to tell you how you attack me. It sounded like Jimbo Fisher when he said, you know, he did all these things. I mean, find out how he got all those guys. Oh, what? Well, do the work. Find out. Well, this is how we find out. We're asking you, well, you do your own work. Well,
At least Carl likes him, though. That part I enjoy.
Who's Carl?
It must be his right Dion.
His SID.
Right,
but
Carl likes me. Okay, cool.
But again, and if it said, somebody said, why you do this? Well, this is my job to ask you questions.
Yep.
And, you know, I've always said this. I think reporters should strive to have a good working relationship with a coach, but you can't be friends with the coach because sometimes you're going to have to be critical of them.
Yep.
And look, there's all the way down here in Texas, we were seeing that there were reasons to be critical of Dion after they beat TCU. You know, he's talking about how we got 2 Heisman Trophy contenders, and I think he thought that meant that they were going to be a great team. And, you know, they blew a huge lead against Stanford and lost all these things. I mean, he did some bad coaching last year.
Yes, he did.
Alienated players. So, I mean, it still may work out. It was only 1 year. But as a coach, if you can't look at yourself and see, hey, because coaches tell me at the end of a year, they frequently do a self-evaluation. If you can't look at yourself and say, okay, I got some issues.
I got to fix this.
That I got to fix.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have major issues with somebody that, again, I don't know what the guy wrote or said or anything. But if he says, hey, why do you do this? Well, it's my job to ask you questions. And so that could have been the answer right there. Hey, that's my job to ask your questions.
Right.
But if you're a Colorado fan, or an administrator, doesn't that give you some concern that your coach is that thin-skinned? How is that looking for a guy that you're paying to represent your program?
To me, that whole exchange could have happened before or after the presser, and like he could have called him aside, like, "Hey, man, I feel like you pick on us all the time. Can you tell me the why behind it?" And then, like, this is where you're seeing it wrong.
So many coaches now want the media to be their cheerleaders and not their guys that just report on.
Yeah.
But you're exactly right. And a coach with some, one time R.C. Slocum said to me, he said, "You are always trying to find something negative." And I said, "Oh, wait. And we had an exchange. One time Tony Baroni was cussing me out. And we had an exchange. And you know what? By the end of that season, we got on great. Just you say you're a man, be a man and talk to a guy man to man, not when there's not a camera on, when that guy can answer.
Yeah.
Because you can never win an argument with the coach when the cameras are on. Just talk to me man to man. You might, why'd you write that? And I can say, well, this is why. I think just based on those two bites, I think Deion looks like a guy that's just thin-skinned at best and spiraling out of control maybe at worst.
And by the way, I'm one, and I'll hit a break here. I'm one that enjoys, let me rephrase it, not enjoys. When people doubt, like my boys on the soccer team, when people doubt them, hey, you're not going to be a starter or whatever, that's to me, okay, now you're going to see the best version of me. It's not necessarily lashing out at somebody. It's, all right, now I got to prove to them who I really am, right? Look at it as an opportunity to change the narrative as opposed to the fight.
Yeah, I'd just say this. If all our readers and listeners, if the Aggies went 4-8 and all we do is tell you what a great job the coach is doing, is that what you want? Someone that's just always going to tell you things are or do you want us to be that Kevin Bacon saying all is well with the chaos going on? Or do you want somebody that's going to tell you the truth as they see it?
If you want sunshine pumping, or let me rephrase this. If you think you get sunshine pumping here, I challenge you to go watch the post-game show after App State.
Right.
Go watch the Go Hour the Monday after and several other times. If you think that's what we do, we try to keep it real, but also be respectful of who we're covering. It's not personal.
Nope.
It is just maybe a disagreement on the way things were handled. That's it. Let's hit a break. We'll come back. We'll go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center, get to your text messages and phone calls. It's TexAgs Radio. And we're back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour presented by The Warehouse at CC Creations. Let's go back to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. The Michael Jordan of interns, apparently, Carson Stein.
Yes, sir. I just wanted to read this text message. It kind of goes back to the last segment, talking about you guys' opinion on Deion. Madden in Houston texted in and said, "Where is his AD? How does Colorado let him act that way? Looking at their schedule, I don't see them winning more than 4 games again this season."
If they have another season like that, I would not be surprised if they went ahead and said, look, this is a failed experiment.
Yep.
Especially because of the way he's representing them. Look, if you're winning and acting kind of crazy, okay, you're one. You put up with that. But that's just a bad look for the university. And if you lose on top of that, and then your son and Travis Hunter, is that his name? And they're going to be gone, so they don't expect to be even. Why would they even be better next year? I think if they have a bad year this year, I would not be surprised if they said, this didn't work. Go back and do your Aflac commercials.
I think I've read a few articles like the AD is kind of like all about him, though. It's like, yeah, he's bringing attention to the
all
university.
Publicity is good publicity is what he's saying.
That's what they say. It may not necessarily be true.
Not always true. Look, that's why a few weeks ago I mentioned.
Does that make kids really want to go play there?
There's some kids that,
some do.
Yeah, because, he does.
But when you see that.
I don't think kids care about that.
I don't know, maybe not.
I think the kids that he loves, they love him, right? He treats them well. The kids he doesn't care about, doesn't matter, right? And that's what I think it is. But that's why I go back to a few weeks back. I'm kind of rooting for Dabo Swinney, right? I think he's got some issues evolving to the new game of football. But I like that apparently he treats his players good. He's going to stick to what he thinks is the fabric of his program. I feel like he's doing things the right way. We'll see if it works. And I don't think Deion is doing things the way I would want my kid to be treated.
Yeah, he better win.
Yeah. Rumor has it you're going to stick around for one more segment.
Sure, I'll be glad to.
We'll do one more segment, and then let me tell you a little bit about the rest of the hour. We're going to have a Florida insider, Matt Baker from the Tampa Bay Times, joining us at 9:35. After that, Billy Liucci. Yes, we will talk about the injury to Ruben Owens, maybe some tidbits from the scrimmage, and, of course, 24 and 24, number 10, Noah Thomas. All that and much, much more. If you want to be a part of the conversation, you can call us up next segment. Your thoughts on Deion, your thoughts on the offense now that Ruben Owens seems to be out for significant time, if not the entire season. 979-693-1150. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers in the Rollo Insurance Studio. And we are back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. We are here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. OB going to stick around for a few more minutes. Got a couple different things I wanted to get into here, OB. Win totals for perceived teams, and they're not perceived, for teams in the SEC. Kind of want to go through some of these Vegas numbers that just came out recently. Outkick had a whole article on it, and I'm just going to throw you the teams. You tell me what you think you're hearing, okay?
Okay.
All right, Georgia Bulldogs. What do you think the over and under is set at?
And they're talking about the 12-game regular season?
Yes.
Over under is set at probably 11.5.
It's actually 10.5.
Okay.
You know who has that same number?
Texas Longhorns.
They do.
Yeah.
They do. The Alabama Crimson Tide are at?
10.
9.5.
Okay.
Ole Miss.
Are they all going to have a half?
So far, yes.
Okay. So Ole Miss? Ole Miss is probably, well, if Alabama's 9.5, I'm going to say Ole Miss is 9.5.
One thing that Feinbaum brought up on his show, I think it was Friday, maybe it was Thursday, that, and we've said it on this show before, Lane Kiffin eventually is going to have to win some big games. I think I saw the stat, he's 2-7 versus top 10 teams as a head coach.
Okay. I thought their win over LSU was a big game last
year. Yeah. LSU, what is their win total set at?
LSU, 8.5.
It's actually 9.5.
9.5. Okay.
Which I don't.
Well, with that schedule, I don't know which way I'd go.
Yeah. Interestingly, they have the exact same win total as a team with the easiest schedule in the SEC, OB.
Missouri.
9.5 is their win total.
Okay. Well, Missouri should probably win at least 9 games, so that's why I have to put the half in there. I'd probably take 10 on Missouri. But, golly, that defense over there scares me.
Well, I mean, look.
I mean, if I was betting.
The defense, to me, has not done enough. Now, I don't follow them like we do at A&M, obviously. So maybe there are some guys that are having an amazing camp, and Harold Perkins has figured out what worked for him in his freshman year and, you know, the changes at defensive coordinator. Maybe all those things. But I just am having a hard time thinking they're going to be better because I think their schedule's a little softer. But I have a hard time thinking your offense will be slightly worse. It may be significantly worse, but slightly worse. I'll go with slightly worse. And your defense isn't significantly better to make me think you're this juggernaut.
Yeah, but, you know, I still have to take them over UCLA. I still have to take them over USC.
2 wins right there.
And then their other 2 mail-in wins in non-conference. And I think they have 3 games that they could lose. A&M, and I think they play Alabama and somebody else. I can't remember who it is.
Is it Ole Miss?
Yeah, probably.
I think it's Ole Miss.
And are you going to go 0-3 in those games?
I hope so.
Me too, but if you go 1-2, you're probably having a 10-win season.
Yep, exactly right. All right, the next tier of teams. What do you think the win total is for Tennessee?
Maybe they're 8.5.
They are 8.5.
Yeah.
And they're tied with a team that we know quite well.
A team that we know quite well. We know Oklahoma?
No, a team that we know even better than
Oklahoma. I'm trying to think, who do we know that would.
You're thinking way too hard.
I guess I am.
A team that we know really, really well. Like, we know
Well,
this
we've
team.
already been through LSU and Texas.
No, but we really know this team. Like, if there's a team we know, because we know things, we know stuff.
These are all SEC teams.
Yeah. Like, we really, really know this team.
Well, we've
there
already
isn't
said
a team
Auburn?
There isn't a team that we know better than the team that is expected to win 8.5 games that we cover on a daily basis.
Well, oh, you mean A&M?
Yeah, A&M.
Oh, I thought we were talking about other teams.
Yeah. I'm just going through the list.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I thought we were talking about other teams. All right, my bad.
Yeah. A&M, 8.5.
Okay, yeah.
The odds to win the SEC for A&M, plus 1,200.
Yeah, you know, I would. Again, what does that mean if I
don't know. I don't gamble. I just act like I know things. People know this about me.
I will typically make my way over to Lake Charles, and I'll put a bet on the Aggies to win, like national championship.
Yeah,
and conference championship. Just hey, if it happens, I want to be prepared for it. You know.
All right. What about Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, I would have to say that their win total is very similar to A&M because they're going to look at the schedule, right? And Oklahoma has a dang tough schedule. And I'm going to say they're also 8.5.
7.5.
7.5.
Which I think is realistic.
I do too. It surprises me.
Yeah. Yeah, they have them.
Of course, it's not the media that does this. This is the
odds
professional
makers, the
gambler. So, I need to to think that way instead of what I think media will do.
What about the Auburn Tigers?
Auburn Tigers should be better this year, but they still have Peyton Thorne. I would say their number is probably 7.5.
Their number is 7.5. Would you like to know their odds of winning the SEC?
If A&M is 1,200, whatever that was.
Plus 1,200.
Plus 1,500.
Plus 8,000.
8,000. Okay.
Which means if you put a dollar.
Yeah, you could win. I guess. I remember back when they were coming off their 3-9 team and some guy bet like $100 or something on to win the national championship, and he had a chance to win $50,000 until Jameis Winston threw the touchdown pass with like 7 seconds to go.
Because I feel like I've been going in order. I'm gonna switch it up, right? So it makes it a little bit more difficult.
Okay.
Vanderbilt, their win total this year is
4.5.
It's actually lower than that.
3.5.
It's even lower than that.
2.5.
2.5.
Wow. I got to admit, I don't know what Vanderbilt's schedule is off the top of my head. I figured they played 4 teams in non-conference. They scheduled that they probably felt like they could win. And then you're saying, hey, maybe they can find one more.
Here's one for you. South Carolina.
South Carolina, 5.5.
Good job, my friend. Really good job.
Okay, got that one right.
Yeah, 10,000 plus 10,000 to win the SEC. All right, the Florida Gators. What does Vegas think about the Florida Gators?
5.5.
Lower.
4.5.
4.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a tough schedule. That first game against
and
Miami.
Yeah. But you've brought up it's a tough schedule. They lost some defense. Scooby and Prince, and they lost their running back, right?
Right.
So
and a first-round draft choice wide receiver.
Yeah. So 4.5. I think that's low. But maybe because I've been overhyping them before that game, and I'm not trying. I'm buying the hype that people are telling me. Hey, Graham Mertz is the next coming of Graham Mertz.
Look. If Graham Mertz can avoid the interceptions, he's a good quarterback.
Kentucky.
Kentucky's going to be 6.5.
Buddy, you're good at this game. I mean,
is that what it is?
Yeah, it's 6.5 to win the game. Now, I've seen them listed by people, some analysts that I actually respect, as a dark horse to like muddy waters in the SEC.
But what does that mean?
Like an 8-win team kind of thing.
Okay. That means maybe you get a big upset to knock somebody out of the contention.
Just because we do this game sometimes, I'm going to quickly go through their schedule. You tell me if you can come up with Southern Miss.
Oh, we're talking about Kentucky?
Yeah, Kentucky.
Win. 1.
Hosting South Carolina.
At home, win. 2.
Georgia comes to them.
I'm going to give them a loss there.
Ohio.
Win. 3. 3-1.
At Ole Miss.
3-2.
Hosting Vandy.
4-2.
To Florida. Ooh.
At Florida, 5-2.
You gonna give them the win?
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and give them the win.
Hosting Auburn.
6-2.
Oh my. Going to Tennessee.
6-3.
Murray State comes to them.
7-3.
Going to Texas.
7-4.
And then Louisville. They're hosting Louisville.
7-5.
So you could see 7-5, 8-4 year.
Yeah.
Okay. Very, very interesting, young man. All right, we're gonna move on.
Boy, that's a pretty favorable schedule for them, though.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
The Razorbacks. I'm betting they're probably looking at 4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Is that what it is?
You're good.
4.5.
This game you've gotten much better at. Like the top half, you're a little off. This half, you're doing great. Yeah, Arkansas's 4.5.
Yeah.
And you look at their schedule.
Yeah, it's.
I'm gonna pull it up just so I can have it.
Yeah.
Let's find those 4.5 wins. Okay, shall we?
All right, let's do it.
Arkansas Pine Bluff. They're hosting.
Oh yeah, they're gonna beat Pine Bluff. They're 1-0.
This game, I'm actually having. I always pick the SEC team in these non-conference games, but I don't know.
Typically, I do.
They're going to Oklahoma State.
That's a.
I don't know.
Oklahoma State at home.
Okay.
If it had been Arkansas, I'd probably take Arkansas.
Hosting UAB.
Okay, they're up for a 3-0 start. Not necessarily.
Wait, you picked Arkansas over Oklahoma State?
Oh, wait, they're 2-1.
2-1, okay. Auburn hosting Arkansas.
I'll take Auburn.
A&M.
I'll take A&M.
So what's the record now?
1-4.
Wait, didn't they win 2? They won the UAB game.
Okay, 2-3. 2-3.
2-3. Tennessee.
2-4.
Hosting LSU.
2-5.
Going to Mississippi State.
At Mississippi State, 2-6.
Hosting Ole Miss.
2-7.
Hosting Texas.
2-8.
Hosting La Tech.
3-8.
And then
Missouri. And 3-9. They'll win one or two more there that they're not supposed to, but
it better not be the A&M game.
I can't think of their quarterback's name now. They're like, hey, they're excited about him.
Jalen Green.
You just lost. KJ Jefferson. Is Green going to be
better? And Rocket Sanders gone. So,
well, he was gone last year. He was hurt all last year.
Yeah, but there was always the thought, at least going into the season, what Rocket could do for them. So, yeah, I think that's every team. Did we do No, we haven't done Mississippi
State. Yeah, they're probably 3-5 or 3.5 or 4.5.
4.5.
4.5.
Yep.
Yeah.
Play the game.
Let's do it.
Find the because I like us for picking so many losses. All right, hosting Eastern Kentucky.
Win 1-0.
Going to Arizona State. You're confused on this one.
Ooh, I'm gonna give them a win. 2-0.
They're not gonna win the rest of the year. Hosting Toledo.
3-0.
What a start. Hosting Florida. Come on, Mississippi State, do it.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 3-1.
Okay.
I'm gonna give that one to Florida.
Going to Texas.
3-2.
Going to Georgia.
3-3.
A&M visits them.
3-4.
Okay. Hosting Arkansas.
Hosting 3-5. I'm sorry, 4-4.
4-4. UMass. Hosting UMass.
Yeah, they're winning that one.
5 and
I've got them 5-4.
Holy smokes, they might be bowl eligible when this is done. Probably not. Going to Tennessee.
5-5.
Missouri. Hosting Missouri.
5-6. Ole Miss.
Going to Ole Miss.
5-7. So that Arizona State game is going to be huge for them. Yeah, last year they beat Arizona, right?
That sounds, yes, they did. Yeah,
and here's what I'm thinking. And I think that might have even been in Tucson. So what I'm thinking is, no, it was in Carson's shaking his head like maybe it wasn't in Tucson, but they did beat Arizona, and that was a good Arizona team. And Arizona State, I don't think, is very good. And Mississippi State can't be as bad as they were last year.
Right.
Coaching alone is going to make them better.
I agree.
Okay, so that game was in Starkville last year. But I think the year before they beat them, and they beat them in Tucson. So, yeah, well, I mean, why would you get excited about Arizona State? Whenever Arizona State has a good player, he leaves to go somewhere else.
This is true. Hey, I want to close out this segment with another list, but it's not really a list in the rankings way, but I just want to go over because some of these are going to be teams that A&M will face this year. ESPN ranks the top 10 football teams with the most NFL draft prospects. Okay. And you can predict one easily. It's Georgia.
Yeah. Oh, these are all that A&M plays.
Well, no.
Okay, but Georgia, okay. So
I'm going to give you some of the ones that A&M plays.
Ohio State's
A&M is not on
there.
this list for the record. Okay,
Yeah.
they don't have the top 10 predicted. So it's predicting 3 first-rounders for Georgia.
Okay.
16 total draft picks is predicting. And the top projected prospect is Mikael Williams. Okay. Number 2, as expected, Ohio State. Okay. Ohio State has 2 predicted first-rounders, 14 draft picks, and Denzel Burke is expected to be the top prospect, the cornerback.
Okay.
If you were to guess number 3, it would be?
Number 3, Alabama.
It's actually Texas Longhorns.
Okay.
3 first-rounders expected, 11 total draft picks. Top projected prospect is Kelvin Banks.
Kelvin Banks, yeah. I like him.
As we know.
He's a good player.
Here's where it gets to A&M.
Okay.
Number 4, and I think you might be surprised by this.
Number 4, is it going to be, well, if I'm going to be surprised, I'm not going to say LSU. So is it number 4 is going to be Carson's trying to give me a hint, and he's distracted because I don't know what he's trying to
think week 1.
Oh, Notre Dame, yeah.
Notre Dame. I don't think I would have thought that they'd be the 4th most NFL draft picks.
Well,
but
they got I bet you they're almost all on defense.
Well, here's some of the names. Projected first-round picks is going to be 1. That is Benjamin Moore.
Benjamin Moore, corner.
Okay. Predicted total picks, 11. Yes. Riley Leonard's expected, R.J. Oben, and Cross. Those are all expected draft picks. So that's the first team that A&M plays that's on the list. The next one, Michigan Wolverines.
Michigan, yeah.
Now, while I believe their defense is going to be solid, there's too many questions about their offense, in my opinion. But projected 4 first-round picks, total picks 8, and their top projected prospect is Mason Graham and Will Johnson.
Okay. A
team that A&M has played many, many times over the last few years, but they're not playing this year. Ole Miss is next on the list.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it's got
I like that wide receiver from Ole Miss.
Yeah. They've got 0 projected first-rounders.
Okay.
10 total draft picks. And their top prospect is Prince
Umanlele. I say that, but I don't know. He's from Manor.
Some other names that are listed here.
Okay.
Juice Wells is
Juice from South Carolina.
And Walter
Nolan, A&M.
Some of the names to be on. The next one, A&M does play, and you would predict them.
LSU.
LSU.
Yeah.
3 projected first-rounders.
Really?
Yeah.
Their offensive tackle, maybe both.
Will Campbell.
Tackles. Will Campbell's the really good one. Emory Jones, the other one.
Harold Perkins. Okay, 8 projected.
Well, who's their third one?
It doesn't say.
Oh, okay.
It just says those 2.
Okay.
8 projected draft picks, though.
Okay.
Number 8, A&M will not play unless we play them in the playoffs.
Okay.
Penn State.
We'll see them there.
Predicted first-rounders.
Don't tell me Drew Haler.
No. He's on the list of people drafted, but not first-round picks.
Okay.
Predicted first-rounders 1, predicted total draft picks 9. The top projected prospect is their edge, Abdul Carter.
Okay.
Okay. Number 9.
Number 9, naughty number 9.
Low number for this team typically, in my opinion. Are you familiar with the team from Tuscaloosa known as Alabama
Crimson Tide? I am familiar with them.
They've got 9. Predicted first-rounders, 0.
Huh. Boy, when was the last time that
I don't
would have
know,
happened?
right? Predicted total picks, 9. And Tyler Booker, believe it or not, as the top prospect on the list. Other names to be expecting, Jeremy Bernard and Jalen Milroe.
Okay.
And the last team on this list, actually there's a bonus, but the last one on this list is the Oregon Ducks.
The Ducks.
Okay? And I'm just going to ask you, who do you think their top prospect is?
Evan Stewart, no.
It is.
Is it really?
It is.
Okay. All right.
Whatever.
Okay.
Total first-round picks.
All I know is if you want to dance around to avoid contact against the University of Miami, I don't know why I'm going to think you're going to make contact against the Miami Dolphins.
But you know what? In that system, he's going to put up some numbers. He's going to.
Yeah, probably.
You know, and we've seen people go, well, it is not the Pac-12 anymore. I got to keep reminding myself the defenses are going to be better.
They're going to be better.
They're going to be better than what the Pac-12 was. But let's not forget, people have gone over to Oregon and kind of changed their narratives.
Maybe the best passing combination in college football might be Dylan Gabriel to Evan Stewart.
It might be.
Might be.
It could be.
Might not.
So, yeah, that's the list of teams that will be playing. By the way, what did Bo Nix do when he changed his narrative, right?
He did. Yeah. And then you ask yourself why.
And system, defense. 2 reasons.
Defensive you're facing, like I've said before, everybody in the Pac-12, every quarterback put up huge numbers. So I do wonder if it's going to be the same in the Big Ten for them. I think they're going to find the going a little bit tougher.
Yeah, but I still think they're going to be one of the top 2 teams in the Big Ten, if not third. Second or third best team in the Big Ten.
That's what the people that know more about it than I do are saying.
You don't think they'll be top 2 or 3?
You know what? I'd still feel don't they play Ohio State at home this year? I think Ohio State goes to Oregon.
Oregon football schedule, because that's what we do.
You know what? I still would say the 2 best teams, and maybe I'm just hard-headed.
Ohio State goes to Oregon.
Are going to be Ohio State and Michigan.
And they go to Michigan.
I could see a world where Penn State's like number 4 on the list in the Big Ten.
I could see that world. Absolutely.
And you know what I keep hearing? I keep hearing Nebraska's going to be so much better with a freshman quarterback who's supposed to be all everything, and he probably is going to be really good. But man, you're going to get You're going to go all in on a freshman.
There you go. There's your win totals. People have 10.5 for Oregon.
Okay. All right. Well,
Michigan's win total seems low, but
yeah, I would take that 8-5 and go and take the over on Michigan. Just even though that's not Harbaugh running the show.
It's not, and it's a completely different. You have Donovan Edwards.
Yeah, but they still
Alex Orji, probably your starting quarterback.
They've recruited so well. I've got to believe they got guys ready to step in and play at a high level.
New head coach, new offense.
But
you got Texas in week 2.
Yeah,
that's tough.
You can't come up with nine wins. I'd take 8. I'd take the over on Michigan.
OB, thank you, sir.
All right,
we'll hit a break here. When we come back, we'll do an open segment before we do a little Florida football talk. Get you ready for that week 3 game for Texas A&M. Right now, we're talking Caldwell Country Chevrolet. That's got a very nice selection of commercial vehicles. If you're looking for commercial vehicles, that's the place you need to go. They've got service body trucks. They've got flatbed trucks. They've got several medium-duty trucks for those heavier jobs. They are the place to go when you're looking for a vehicle. Whatever your situation is, we bought our Tahoe there a couple years back. Customer service second to none. The pricing was fantastic. The trade-in was fantastic. That's why we went to Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Locally owned and operated by Aggie alumni. They've got complimentary pickup and delivery for their service customers. They do have free oil changes for life on your purchase as long as you own that vehicle from Caldwell Country Chevrolet. As a reminder, they are a proud supporter of Aggie athletics, and they have a huge inventory and selection to fit most needs. They want to make long-lasting friendships with all of their customers. Caldwell Country is just south of big city prices, and they promise to treat their customers like family. Remember, it's not a far drive. We're talking 15 minutes, the edge of Bryan to the beginnings of Caldwell. A short conversation away, but you'll see the difference when you step on the lot and do business with the great people there at Caldwell Country Chevrolet. Highway 21 in Caldwell. Online, caldwellcountrychevrolet.com. And we are back here on TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. A lot of reaction earlier to the Reuben Owens injury. Unfortunate situation when Billy comes in the studio around the 10 o'clock hour. We'll certainly talk about that for a while and how it's going to affect the offense. It's going to affect it, right? But with Le'Veon Moss looking the way that I think he's going to look and how he's looked in camp and what we've already seen from Amari Daniels and hopefully E.J. Smith carrying, it's going to be tough. And you certainly don't have a lot of wiggle room for more injuries, but I think obviously Le'Veon is destined for greatness this year, and if he can live up to that, we'll have to wait on more Reuben Owens. It sucks, no doubt about it, but if that is indeed what is announced, Max Olson was the first to report that yesterday from ESPN. Let's go to the Angry Elephant News and Social Center. Carson Steiniak, what do you have for us, buddy?
Got a little Olympic track news from the weekend. So Texas A&M all-time greats Bryce Dedman and Shamir Little helped Team USA claim Olympic gold medal in the men's and women's 4x400 meter relays.
Great news. Following that on social all weekend long. I was expecting it. Good that they got to finish it. We had Coach Henry on Thursday of last week, and he was all about it. It was so congratulations to both of them. Carson.
It is the second gold medal of Dedman's Olympic career, and he also helped set an Olympic record during the relay of 2 minutes, 54 seconds, and 43 milliseconds.
Yes, sir.
So, guy can run fast.
Thank you for that. Thanks. I appreciate that.
Certified over here.
Certified winner right there.
Yeah.
Any other commentary?
We got a little bit of women's golf. National champion Adela Cernasek, she fell to asterisk tally 1 up in the quarterfinals of the 124th U.S. Women's Amateur at the Southern Hills Country Club.
All right. I wish she would have won, obviously. I think she's going to have a huge year for Garrett Chadwell and the Aggie women's golf team. Any text messages to get into, Kurt?
Not a whole lot going on the text line. I wish, we get a little bit more text, get a little more engagement.
Well, I will say this. People on the YouTube page have been, and a lot of people are like, this poor kid hasn't watched real basketball in his entire life.
Yeah, totally. Haven't watched real basketball. Haven't watched guys just beat each other up. Real basketball.
But you like the UFC. Interesting how you don't like it on a basketball court.
Yeah, interesting how I want to watch basketball when I'm watching basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting stuff.
Isn't basketball defense and offense?
Yeah, it could be defense and offense. It doesn't mean it's got to be two guys just punching each other.
Let me ask you a question, and be careful how you go this direction. Would you say a Buzz Williams type team is more like the basketball that we saw, like the pure dominance of the 90s? Or do you think it's more like what we're seeing from the LeBron era?
I think it's towards the beginning, middle-ish of the LeBron era. It's not like the 90s where every 5 minutes we had to stop play because two guys didn't like each other and punched each other.
What I'm saying is they play defense.
Yes, they play defense.
They play a lot of defense.
There's a difference. There's a difference between playing defense and just hitting each other just because.
So you're saying that when you watch highlights of 90s basketball, you're seeing people just, when they play defense, doing a punch and a slap. That's what you're basically saying.
No, that's not what I'm basically saying. I'm not saying every possession they're punching and slapping. I'm saying that's a majority of it.
Really? So you've watched the majority of 90s basketball and come up with that conclusion?
No, I guess I cannot, since I was not born until the year 2002.
Exactly. So respect your elders, young man. All right? The hand check era was a thing, right? And what they have done to most sports is that let's make it more appealing to the audience. They're like the ones that don't like to watch it all the time because they just want to see scoring. So let's, like football.
Why is that a problem? Can I ask that? Everyone, I don't know your stance on it, but I know a lot of people complain about there's not enough defense. Why are we complaining about offense? Why are we complaining about scoring?
Well, because if you don't have defense, then what is a possession really worth?
Points. What do we? Huh?
I like a little mix of both, buddy. I want some
and
defense,
and you're telling me
I don't need, like, if you look, I understand that athletes in today's world are wired differently. They have different nutritional help. They have different weight room help. They're bigger, faster, stronger. I get all that. Okay, that's fine. But what I like is the actual chess piece of sports, right? Not just the offense. I want there to be, you have to game plan against the 85 Bears. You have to game plan against that. I want to see the game planning, the chess pieces And then I want to see some evolution with that.
And that still happens, but people have gotten so skilled on offense that defense is 10 times harder than it used to be in every sport. Like, are we trying to act like this year's Victor Wembanyama didn't average almost 4 blocks a game, and we're going to say there's no defense played in the NBA?
I didn't say there wasn't defense playing. You're the one who was saying that the defense back then was all about defense and it was just a physical assault. That's what you said. I'm not saying
it was more physical for sure.
I think that they have changed rules, and we're going to lose our entire audience for this. So we're just going to spend 90 more seconds on it, or not even 42 seconds more on it. But they have manipulated the rules to allow for a more aesthetically pleasing game for the non-purist. Fair or unfair?
I'd say that's fair.
Okay. I think when you get older, you like it the way it was in your day. And you will do the exact same thing when they allow the 5-point half-court shot into the game of basketball and, dunks are worth a half a point. When they change the rules and you are 47-year-old hosting TexAgs afternoons, right? And people are calling in and saying, this Billy Bob Thornton basketball player is the greatest thing we've ever seen. And he doesn't have to play defense because he can hit the 5-point shot. You're going to be like, no, it was better in my day. LeBron, he was 40. He was a warrior. He changed the way the game was played. He made it cool to go join other Hall of Famers. Every time he wanted a different change of scenery, he's like, I'm going to get the most Hall of Famers. You're going to complain about it. That's called being older. It's called having wisdom.
I wish we could go more into what you just said about the Hall of Famers. Go to him. Go to David. I just can't.
You're not the host. I'm the host. I said keep the camera on you and see how you find your way out of this segment.
Well, I thought you said we had to switch gears. I mean, I'm fine. Keep going. Okay, let's keep going. How are you going to say LeBron only played with the most Hall of Famers? How many Hall of Famers did Michael Jordan play with?
How many Hall of Famers did he make? Okay, we got to stop this, Michael and LeBron. This happens every 3 months with the young kids on the show. Michael made Hall of Famers. Dennis Rodman, as great as he was not on his way to a Hall of Fame career.
Did LeBron not make Kyrie Irving a Hall of Famer or Chris Bosh?
No, Kyrie Irving continued being a Hall of Famer afterwards. Chris Bosh was on his way to a Hall of Fame career before he joined. Yes, and yes. Dwayne Wade was a MVP of the NBA Finals before LeBron James got there.
I'll give you Dwayne Wade.
Thank you. We're going to hit a break
here.
Turn off his mic forever. We're going to hit a break here. Right now, we're talking Heritage Films. That is Chance McClain's company. They make documentary films about legends who play defense. That's what he does. If you didn't play defense, I don't think Chance McClain will do a documentary about you. Lucky for you, LeBron does play defense. And the cool thing about doing this movie and this documentary is that you get to share it with your family for generation after generation. So 30 years from now, when we look back at the greatest basketball run ever in Michael Jordan and Scottie and those guys, you can share it with the next generation. And yeah, you'll have some punks that don't kind of recognize their greatness, but the generation after that will certainly be smarter because they will have seen these videos. You can do it for your dad, your family business, your family ranch, whatever it may be. Chance will do a 2-hour documentary film that can be preserved for the next generation. The website is yourheritagefilm.com. Yourheritagefilm.com. 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341 is Heritage. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Garner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk a little Florida football. That game, obviously week 3 for Texas A&M. Let's get an insider's perspective. Matt Baker from the Tampa Bay Times joining us. He covers all the teams in Florida, but he's here with us today to talk Gators, and maybe we'll get into some other college football storylines. Matt, how you been, bud?
I'm good. Thanks for having me on. I'm a little concerned about Bad Moon Rising as the intro music to me, but that's okay. Maybe it's a reference on the program and not me in particular.
Of course. It's all about the program. Hey, so we were just going – look, I know a lot of people love to go through the Florida schedule because of how daunting it is, right? And then there's been this – I feel like from right before SEC Media Days, there was this narrative that was – I don't know about being pushed, but was out there that – hey, Florida may be significantly better even with a tough record because of their schedule. Is Florida better this year than they were last year?
The bad answer is we'll see August 31st when they kick off against Miami. There's a lot of things that I think they have improved. I mean, the defense was obviously not very good and hasn't been good the last few years. And they scratched where it itched, right? They did something on all 3 levels. New assistant coach on the D-line, new assistant coach at linebacker, new assistant coach in the secondary, impact transfers at all 3 levels. So that should be better. You think, Graham Mertz year 2 in his system with Billy Napier. Year 2 where they transfer quarterback is typically when there's a big step forward, if it's going to happen. So you can kind of justify and see all these things. I actually need to see something on the field first, just because I have so many questions about where this program is going. But if I had to guess, my stock answer is yes, I think they will be better. But the record might not reflect it at the end. I think that's a very realistic thing where there's been some changes under the hood, culture, program building, all that type of stuff. But against this schedule, they still might be 5-7, and that might be, that might just be what kind of year they have record-wise.
Is there a scenario where Billy Napier is fired midseason in your mind, even with this schedule? Because some of the winnable games are those early games, and those are hard games.
Right. I mean, you start with Miami. I mean, that's an anxiety bowl, man. Right. Like both of those teams, the fan bases don't like each other. In-state, not necessarily rivals, but kind of, sort of. Both coaches in year 3, neither one's had much success. That is a huge, huge game because somebody's going to lose and that fan base is going to melt down. You look at, obviously, Texas A&M is a big one. UCF is another one, too, where Florida, the Florida fan who's been around for a while is going to say, yeah, UCF, they're a directional school. They're a little brother, that sort of thing. UCF is pretty good. They've got a quarterback, KJ Jefferson, who beat the Gators in the swamp last year for Arkansas. So that's definitely not a gimme. And if you lose those, then yeah, if it's a really slow start, you can envision a scenario where Billy loses his job in mid-October or something. But the other thing I want to caution here, and this is important, Florida has an interim president. This isn't a situation where, the last president, he had to step down. Unfortunately, his wife is having health issues, but he was a guy Ben Sass, who was very all in on sports. This is what he loved, right? And you could see a situation where it would not work out. And if it's not going, okay, we're done. But with an interim president, would he be willing, Kent Fox, who was the president before, is not necessarily a guy who's really interested in sports. That's not his forte. And he's just kind of an interim guy. You put those things together, is he going to want to make a change mid-season? That's the type of question that I don't have a good answer to. But as a casual college football fan kind of plays out this season and looks through it, that's something to keep in the back of your head.
How is Florida going to look on the defensive line?
I don't have a good answer. I really don't. I keep saying that, but I just don't know about this team. Again, they should be better in a lot of ways. Bring in Joey Slackman, a transfer from the Ivy League. I think some of the guys who have been in the program a little bit have had time to develop. But at the same time, they lost Princely Monmiel to Ole Miss, which was, he was their one of their best defensive players for sure. Good edge rusher with potential to be a lot better than good. So losing him was a hit. They're going to have to do a better job of getting after the quarterback. They just are. That was one of the issues last year. And there is the potential for it to take a step forward. But I'm just not there in terms of buying it full sale yet.
Talking to Matt Baker here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's talk about the running back situation, because obviously I'm going to keep bringing up these position groups because it feels different. At A&M, for instance, I'll give you, because I know what you're talking about. Like, I don't know. I feel better because they've made these changes on the offensive line. The wide receiver room, you lose guys, but I think there's been development there. So I understand what you're saying when it comes to Florida. The D-line, though, that was an issue.
Yes, it absolutely was an issue. It was just not good enough, and again, this goes where they've made so many changes, and I'll give Billy Napier credit for that. I think you have to. He scratched where it itched. All three levels of the defense, impact transfers, new position coaches. You look at strength program. They brought in a new strength and conditioning guy. They brought in a new nutrition coordinator. So they've done kind of every single thing that I think they realistically could do to try to improve the roster, to try to improve what you see in the fourth quarter in a September game in the Swamp, what you see at the end of the season when everybody's banged up, everybody's tired. They've tried to do those things along the way, all the little things that could add up. Because the other thing we have to remember too with Florida is they were close in a lot of games. No, they did not have a winning record. You don't get moral victories at the Gators. You don't. But you look at Missouri, they played them into the right to the very end and gave up a 4th and 17. They played Florida State, excuse me. They played the Noles into the fourth quarter there, and Florida State was obviously a top 5 program. You look at the way they did. Arkansas was another one. LSU, they were pretty competitive with into the second half. So it's what Billy would tell you is they weren't that far off. And I think if you take those little changes along the way, including along the defensive line, maybe those things show up where it was a negative this time and it's a positive this time. That's kind of the theory behind the case, I guess.
Matt, help us understand Graham Mertz for those who haven't watched a lot of him. We know what they expected at Wisconsin. He has a nice year at Florida, but what tier of quarterback is Graham Mertz there in the SEC?
He's going to have to be near the top if Florida's going to do what they're capable of. And honestly, I hate to put it this bluntly, but I think Graham Mertz is a referendum on Billy Napier. Just because Billy inherited a top 10 pick at quarterback in Anthony Richardson, and they weren't good enough in year one. He goes in and says, okay, we need a transfer quarterback. We need somebody to play now. And according to Billy, they scouted 24 players that cycle. Guys who were in the portal, might go in the portal, whatever it was. And Graham Mertz was their guy. This is who we want. This is the guy that it's going to be, because he's experienced, because he's was talented, again, blue chip quarterback with Wisconsin, all that type of stuff. I think even if he doesn't win you games, cannot lose you games, if that makes sense. So you put all those things together. Graham Mertz was their guy. And last year, statistically, he was fine, maybe better than fine, pretty good. But year 2 is when a transfer quarterback blows up. You look at Michael Penix and what he did at Washington last year. You look at Bo Nix and what he did at Oregon. Year 2 is when a transfer quarterback understands, okay, this is what I'm supposed to do in the system. These are the guys around me. This is the coaching staff. And that's when they take that big leap forward. So if Graham Mertz, if the Gators are going to have to be really good, and certainly they're going to have to be really good if they're going to have a chance at 7 wins just with that schedule, then Graham Mertz is going to have to be a big reason why. And also just developing DJ Lagway too, a Texas guy, a 5-star quarterback. Florida hopes that is their quarterback of the future.
All right, Matt, let's close out with Florida State. And you spent some time there recently. DJU fitting in, do they have the same kind of feel entering this season that they had last year?
No, not the same kind of feel, because it's so different, right? They lose almost. Think of if the average Florida State fan, or excuse me, the average college football fan. You think of a Florida State player off the top of your head, he's probably gone, just because there's that much turnover. The identity is going to be different. They had 2 drafted receivers and a drafted tight end, so and obviously Jordan Travis, who was a really good quarterback for them. Those guys are all gone. This is going to be an offense where it's going to be a lot more run heavy. They've got really good backs. Their offensive line should be really strong. And DJ is going to be in an interesting position where, again, he's not going to have to, like Graham Mertz, he's not going to have to go out and win a lot of games. His job is don't lose games. And if Florida State has a good run game, good power run game, and then some speed at receiver, DJU and a strong arm can kind of break it over the top. That's the scenario where Florida State to go from 8-9 wins this year, pretty good, maybe step back, to 10, 11, 12 in the playoff, and maybe even threatening to win a game or 2.
Matt Baker, great stuff, man. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Matt Baker there from Tampa Bay Times. All right, we'll hit a break here. We'll come back with Around Aggieland. Callie Garner is going to help us out with that. We'll get to your text messages and your phone calls. Yes, this is an NBA-free zone for the remainder of the hour. That I can guarantee. It's TexAgs Radio. We're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Time for Around Aggieland, presented by Normandy State Bank. Normandy State Bank, rock solid banking. The website is normandystatebank.com. We've got Callie Garner in the house. Hello, Callie.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. How are
Knock
you?
off K. Nagley, but
No.
yeah.
You all are equal value.
I feel like of anybody here though, I could fill in and like slide under the radar. The blonde hair,
I don't see hair color. I just see persons.
Person,
and
okay.
soul. All right, what do you got for us?
We have touched on this a little bit today, but yesterday, Texas A&M women's head basketball coach Joni Taylor and the USA basketball team won the gold at the 2024 Paris Olympics after overcoming a double-digit deficit against France, winning 67-66. And staying on the Olympic front, Texas A&M all-time greats Bryce Dedman and Shamir Little helped Team USA claim the Olympic gold medal in the men's and the women's 4x400 relays, and both of their gold medals brought Texas A&M's track and field medal tally to 6, with 2 golds, 2 silvers, and 2 bronze. We've talked about this a little bit today as well, but Mike Elko confirmed Ruben Owens suffered a lower leg injury in the scrimmage on Saturday, but like his statement said, he will address Ruben's injury at his next media availability, so not going to jump to any conclusions there, but obviously hoping for the best for him and praying for a speedy recovery for whatever the injury was. Aggie soccer won both of their exhibition games and will open up their 2024 campaign on Thursday in Beaumont against Lamar, followed by their home opener against Denver next Wednesday, August 21st. And Jamie Morrison and Aggie volleyball have their maroon and white scrimmage this Saturday at 2 p.m. in Reed Arena before opening up their season at the Jaguar Invitational in Alabama on August 30th. So best of luck to Aggie soccer and Aggie volleyball this season. I'm excited for soccer and volleyball. I haven't been able to follow them as much as I would like to in the past few years, so I'm excited to go to some games.
We have Jamie Morrison coming, I believe, Thursday at 10:35.
Awesome.
I'm trying to remember. And
I like him. He's cool.
I love him.
Yeah.
And Coach G will be joining us as his weekly series will start up this week. So we're looking forward to catching up with Aggie soccer.
Amazing. So yeah, Around Aggieland. We've got lots going on, and all the seasons are kicking off. I can't believe football starts soon, and we're excited.
How many days? Anybody have the exact days?
What is it, like 20? What's today, the 12th?
So is it 19 days?
Yeah, sounds right.
Are we in the teens? Does that sound right? Carson, I'll let you talk again.
His mic's muted forever.
I believe so. Let me double check and get back with you. I'm not a numbers guy over here.
Well, I mean, it's not that
We have
hard.
no Matthew Dawson today.
It's not that hard to figure out. It's the 12th, and the game's on August 31st, right?
I got it for y'all. 19 days,
right.
8 hours, 34 minutes, and 55 seconds.
Believe it or not, he did not go to 12man.com.
Now
to get that
51
information.
seconds.
51 seconds. We're just going to keep counting down.
He did that
Keep going.
himself. Callie, great
48.
job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, here's what we have. 10 o'clock hour. Billy Liucci will be in studio. We will chat with Billy about Ruben Owens. We will chat with Billy about 24 and 24. We will talk about the scrimmage. We will talk about all things Aggie football-centric. We'll obviously get to your phone calls and your text messages. That number, by the way, if you call us on the Boss Firearms hotline, is 979-693-1150. Got a lot to get into, and, of course, offensively, do you feel like you're going to be fine? We did get a text from John in Cyprus, and he's excited to see what Le'Veon Moss can do in this offense. So we'll talk about that and much, much more. You are listening to TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It is TexAgs Radio. We are presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. People are asking me about when the next media availability is going to be, and according to the schedule, there is one today after practice. Looks like approximately 12:45, but Coach Elko is not expected to be speaking at this one. Now, that could change. It is going to be Dalton Brooks, Armaj Reed Adams, Trey Watson. Those are the three expected to be speaking today. So we probably will not have an opportunity to ask about Ruben Owens. The next time that we talk to Coach Elko that is at least scheduled at the moment seems to be Saturday at 3:30. So we got a few days before that, unless he decides to talk earlier than that. That's his next scheduled availability. If you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, the number is 979-693-1150, 979-693-1150. You can call us on the Boss Firearms hotline as we wait for Billy Liucci to come here to studio, or you can text in the show at that same number, 979-693-1150. It is you can, I don't want to say you can predict injuries because that's not what I'm saying yet, but in football, expect to not mentally be prepared for what happens with these injuries, right? Like, you never want to predict an injury, but you do know that because it's such a physical game, every year several top teams around the country will lose an offensive tackle like we saw at Notre Dame, will lose a running back like we saw at A&M and at Texas. They'll lose certain players. Now, obviously, we don't know the severity of Ruben Owens' injury. We do not know. I'm not speculating it, but based on what Max Olson of ESPN reported yesterday, they do fear that he's going to be out for the entire season. So there is that, unfortunately, out there. And, until we talk to Coach Elko and until, X-rays, MRIs, whatever they end up doing are completely done, and then we'll have to, but as of right now, I believe we can start thinking, well, he ain't going to be here, right? And you've got to start planning what you're going to do, and I know they already are. Who's the next man to stand up? Who's going to take, and by the way, I think Le'Veon Moss was already on track to be your dude, right? I keep making the comparison of the Spiller A-Chain situation because that's kind of how I saw it. That's when I got the TexAgs, and that's what I saw. I think that's what we were headed toward. Well, you have two very capable backs that we've seen at A&M in Le'Veon Moss and obviously in Amari Daniels. We've seen those guys do really nice things. We have not seen E.J. Smith here, and there's others that we can discuss, but we've seen those. How it affects the offense? Well, that's where you hope all the time and the money invested in Colin Klein and what his ability to have creative run games will come into play. Again, the offensive line is going to be the catalyst no matter who your running back is. And I go back to the 22 season. No, excuse me. Yeah, 22. Yes, 22 season. Devon had a phenomenal year. And Carson, you can look this up for me. But look at Devon's rushing stats for the first few games of that season. But the way I remember it, he had a hard time getting some yards going early on in that season, right? Like there was the first few games, you're like, because I was expecting these huge rushing numbers from Devon. By the way, he figured it out. He figured out how to get his yards, but it took some time. If the O-line, I'm not putting all the trajectory of this offense on the O-line, but it's a huge part of what they do. But if the O-line is where I think they're going to be, then I think you're going to see some really nice offensive numbers from Le'Veon Moss and Amari Daniels. Yes, you'd be better with Ruben Owens, 100%. That's a big part of your offense gone. But I think trajectory-wise, I think Le'Veon was already destined to have a big year, and we've seen so much from Amari Daniels. Do you have those numbers for me, Carson?
I'm pulling them up right now. Just give me...
Yeah, because if I remember correctly, initially, for the first 3 or 4 games, he was not on the path.
I got them for you now if you want them.
Yep, pull them up.
So that 2022 season against Sam Houston State, 18 attempts, 42 yards. Against Appalachian State, 10 attempts, 66 yards. And against Miami, 18 for 88 yards.
So you see those first 3 games, not the kind of numbers that he obviously finished with, 200-plus against LSU,
yeah,
right?
And then the next 2 games after that, 159 yards and 111 yards. So.
Yeah. So I bring that up, and Billy Liucci's now here in studio. We're talking a little bit about Ruben Owens and having a stable of running backs. I did say Max Olson is reporting he's out for the year. We're going to kind of just wait on whatever Coach Elko says if we talk to him on Saturday. But considering that's out there, Le'Veon, Amari, EJ are all going to have to carry a lot of the load.
A lot? I mean,
all of it, all the load.
That whole group has to carry the
entire load.
That's a tough blow, and that happened on Saturday. That was not a secret until it wasn't. There's this little gap here in local versus national where they'll take it and run with it. But I don't know if they would have gotten it had it not been Texas side putting it out, which I think people are getting confused there. If I had to guess, that comes through the recruiting realm. Guys, Howell and Brawny talk to recruits. Certain people like to stay in touch with the recruits longer when they're at other schools. This is me talking out loud. I don't know if that's the case, but I know that happened with a different Texas side at one point, and they just said, oh, yeah, we talked to them because we've stayed in touch. No big deal. It is what it is. But I think that's kind of where that came out of. But Ruben, he got hurt Saturday. It wasn't like no one saw that. And then it was a Sunday, let's wait to the MRI. But I didn't feel like I was feeling a great deal of optimism, Saturday. Here, just kind of when you get wind of it. So who knows? I mean, look, whether it's the entire season or not, I think it's really clear. First of all, Max Olson does a good job. It's going to be a long-term thing, so we need to talk about what happens now without Ruben Owens, because Ruben, to me, was having a great camp, and I've been reporting that. I reported long before anyone else said that he had a great spring.
Mm-hmm.
I've said something that I haven't read anywhere else, which was, I think, Elko and his staff, if you had to talk about a position that really jumped out as, oh, okay, there's maybe even more to work with than they suspected, that you weren't going to feel that way about the D-line. Obviously, I didn't feel that way about the secondary with how many guys they added. But running back was a position, I think, maybe even the position that they went, oh, yeah, there's a lot to work with here. That's good and bad. The bad news is Ruben Owens was a big part of that reason. The good news is that was a factual statement, that they felt like they had a nice stable. That stable just decreased by 25%. I think you'd love going into seasons with like 5 running backs. Sometimes that's hard nowadays with recruiting and guys transferring and things like that. They went in with 4. They also, in my opinion, went in with 2 guys that could start, 2 guys that could star. And then I talked a lot after the spring that, Amari Daniels is a guy that just got his act together, really improved throughout the spring and offseason as well. So, thank you. Improved throughout the offseason. So that's big now as we look at that today. So does the fact that I talked about, I think this week, about Amari Daniels, where, look, the guy ran for almost, was it 590?
Yep.
600 yards last year, 6 touchdowns. He had a back-breaking run against an Auburn defense that turned out to not be as bad as people thought. What was that 78-yard run there that kind of essentially ended that game when they were threatening? He had another long run against somebody in the SEC. I thought he did a really good job against Ole Miss in that game when A&M rallied. We were talking about this just the other day about Amari.
Just Friday, yeah.
And then EJ Smith has had a good fall camp. He's a guy that someone mentioned to me the other day that in practice produced 3 touchdowns. Now, that's not in a scrimmage setting where you have 3 touchdowns, but, he's getting across the goal line. EJ Smith can catch. That is one thing I think you have to look at now because, man, Ruben Owens, I thought, was a great receiving threat and weapon out of the backfield.
Yep.
I thought that was something that he was dating all the way back to high school. He has like wide receiver skill set when he's out in the secondary and out on the flanks. So to me, like now you look at E.J. Smith. I don't think catching the ball is a great strength of Amari or Le'Veon. I think it was Owens that excelled in that area. And you saw A&M a few years ago what they could do with a running back who can catch. Go watch Kansas State and Colin Klein. That's something they need in this offense. So now it's like, okay, E.J. Smith, you missed a lot of spring. You're having a nice fall camp. He looks good physically to me. When he was in high school, E.J. to me looked like I was almost like, man, could he play receiver in college? Be like a big inside receiver, like a swope type of situation. That's how good he was when it came to making plays in the passing game. Now he's filled out. And maybe he still does look like Swope. Swope's a big dude. But EJ, he's got the build to sustain and be part of that stable. He's going to have to now. I think Le'Veon Moss, without Reuben Owens, if he stays healthy all year, could be like a 1,400-yard back. I think he's that good.
Yep.
I had scouts come through this week that were like, holy crap, like 8 is really good. But 4, Reuben, he's 4 last year. What was he this year? 2. Reuben is really good as well. And I thought there was a real little exaggeration because Reuben's not like a Devon A-chain burner and Moss isn't a 240-pound. He's not Jaworski Lane in there, but it was like a thunder and lightning potential there to kind of those two and their contrasting styles. It's a big loss for Reuben. It's a big loss for this team. It's a big loss for this offense. But it does open the door for a big season from Le'Veon Moss. It does open the door for an Amari Daniels or an E.J. Smith to step up. Now, look, I don't think there would have been a fan that would have been upset a year ago or even 2 years ago had Amari Daniels left. All he did was help you win some games last year. Now, in the grand scheme of things, you go, well, what did that matter? The kid was solid back last season. And from what I saw last year, he needs to really work on his blocking, and I'm sure Trooper Taylor and Colin Klein have helped him come a long way in that regard, I'd have to think. And had he left this offseason, I don't think people would be sitting here going, well, Walter Nolan, Evan Stewart, and Amari Daniels or Fadil Diggs. It would not been the name that was mentioned. It was a big deal for him to stay on board with Elko and a new regime. You're seeing it now, and it was also really big, obviously, for them to get E.J. Smith. You've got to go in. I hate going into a season with 3 running backs. I hate that. 2 guys whose ceilings I think are like as high as you can go are Le'Veon Moss and Noah Thomas. But in each of their first 2 years, they've been banged up, and they flashed it, and then they're banged up, and they flashed it and banged up. Running back gets tackled, 15, 20 times a game.
Mm-hmm.
You sprain an ankle, you miss 2 weeks, then you go into those games really thin. So I mean, it's going to be a long haul here throughout the rest of fall camp and on into the season. But that's the nature of the beast in this league, at that position, in this sport. I saw people, and you guys, I know when things don't go your way, you don't have to lose common sense. And I saw people going, oh, why are those running backs even playing in a scrimmage? Why would you ever? They're running backs. They have to get tackled. They have to get into a flow of playing football. Remember when they used to call it tackle football as opposed to touch football? You've got to get in the flow. It wasn't like Reuben Owens was going to get 20 touches Saturday. Le'Veon Moss isn't getting 20 touches. They're spreading the wealth. They're going to play a bunch of walk-ons. Your starting backs have to play football. I mean, get the hell out of here. Complain about what you want to don't complain about that. And for Reuben to get hurt, that could happen to him It happened on like his second carry of the scrimmage. That could happen if he could have been healthy all through fall camp, and we could have said, man, he looks like the greatest running back ever, and he could have got hurt on the second play of the Notre Dame game. Or McNeese, for that matter. Or your
starting quarterback on the second drive of a game.
Yeah,
right?
It just doesn't matter. But you have to, again, it's tackle football. You got to get tackled some to get ready for a tackle football season. And it's really unfortunate. It's the nature of the beast. It's not an A&M thing. I swear it's not. It's not, oh my gosh, we just get such bad luck. We get injuries in fall camp. Donovan Green. And now, what are we doing? Have y'all stopped? It's like people just want to get mad and they want to blame a coach that hadn't coached a game here because he handed the ball off to a runner. And I mean, I'm talking about a couple people, but I don't give a damn. It was so bad that I want to say it. And I have this, so I will say it, just like you guys have this. And don't, by the way, I heard y'all this morning, don't even acknowledge those dumbasses on Twitter. They know what you said is true. They know it's a handful of Aggies, just like it's only a handful of Longhorns that would say anything about Ruben Owens getting hurt. It's not their fan base. We can be rivals all we want. The Texas fans don't want to see an A&M player get hurt. Never have. Same thing with Aggies and Longhorns. And like you guys were saying, yeah, you factor it into what's your ability to win here. Their ability to beat Notre Dame went up when their O-lineman got hurt. Didn't mean anybody wanted to see him get hurt.
You don't root for that.
Nobody at Notre Dame wants to see Ruben Owens get hurt. I mean, I say nobody, but there are people.
Sure.
And there are people on all sides. So these people on social media that say that and do that, they're scum. And they know they're scum and they're losers. And they have, they probably are not the type people that you, me, and most of the listeners would want to associate in real life. Imagine someone coming up to you. I had 2 Longhorn friends of mine, shout out Gold Standard, Alex Gold, text me and say, man, it sucks, about Owens. And that's how the majority of them are. Imagine someone coming up to you in real life and going, man, you guys lost that running back. You're screwed. You just would be like,
my bunch of.
You would just be like, why are you talking to me? I don't like you. You're not like, you're a weirdo. And so those people, they know.
They do.
And so it's no point in even, I like to just let them know what scum I think they are and not try to act like I really believe they think it's all Aggies, because I know they don't. Either that or you're just really stupid. You're not a real intelligent person. That tells me you didn't go to that school, because just like A&M, it's generally intelligent people that go and graduate from that college. Anyway, going back to this thing about Owens, and the people that were saying, like, you got to go through this. And it's not a woe is me A&M thing. I swear it's not. Guys get hurt in fall camp all over the country.
Sure.
A&M's biggest rival just lost a back. A&M's first opponent just lost a very important piece of their offensive line. That's what fall camp is. And every coach in this sport, every day, goes through, and that is their biggest fear, is what happened to A&M Saturday. That is every head coach in this game right now, high school, college, pro. It is the biggest fear. You saw it happen. Who was it the other day? A notable NFL guy. Oh, the Cowboys lost a defensive end, Cunningham, the old Ole Miss guy. Like, it's every day. If you're a coach, a fan, you're watching and going, just get me to the season. Just get me to the season. It's unfortunate. It is what it is. But I'll tell you where I think they missed this the most. The depth at running back is now, to me, I call that paper thin. Mm-hmm. I love the options. And Le'Veon Moss can be as good as any back in the SEC. He can. There's a reason Bama wanted him. He was committed to Bama. There's a reason LSU tried to get him at the end. There's a reason LSU's tried to get him each of the last 2 years that he's been on campus. He is a special talent. You've seen it in flashes. He's a beast of a running back. Amari proved a lot, not only last year, but since this new coaching staff's come too, because his work ethic has hit another gear. Remember how badly Jimbo Fisher wanted E.J. Smith coming out of high school.
Yeah.
There's talent, but there's 3. So you were paper thin there. But I think the biggest hit to me Ruben Owens is an explosive weapon. Jabari Barber is an explosive weapon. Fast twitch. You get Ruben Owens matched up on linebackers, or you get him on a run into that second level. Ruben Owens is a house call guy. And he can, I think he's an explosive weapon. I don't think there's a ton of them at the skill spots for A&M right now. We've talked about this. And when you lose a big one like that, I think then you really start going, who are the explosive weapons? And to me, getting Jabari Barber back would be big. I'm looking. I need Moose to close out fall camp strong because he's shown he can be that type guy. But I'm talking explosive weapon now. I'm talking about getting open too. That is one thing we don't talk about enough. Like, who gets open? Who gets separation? And I think Barber was one of those type guys. So when I hear things like Elko said a couple weeks ago that he's ahead of schedule and they should have him back, I'm going, okay. The quicker,
that's another
the better.
option right there.
The quicker, the better. Number 2's really impressed in limited time now. Terry Bussey. If I ever say Kendall Bussey, those of you that remember, there was an old A&M running back actually named Kendall Bussey that came in for a cup of coffee, running back, speaking of running backs, and he left. I almost said it just there, but Terry Bussey he is a 5-star athlete. He is truly, truly explosive. I'm not advocating for him to play running back. I'm saying, though, when I look and say, who out there can get separation in routes? Who can really get open? And I don't know if he can. He's a true freshman. But there were a couple things I want to see. And
he's got that level.
That's one of them. The other one was I wanted to see some Armaj Reed Adams at tackle. Yeah. And that is something that, we've seen them even when we've been out there, we've seen them experimenting with. If I was a betting man on O-line options, I'm like, what we saw, what we thought we'd see, Zune, Basantis, Naboo, Reed Adams, and
Ruben.
Crownover or Fathery.
Yep.
Now, I think the other possibility would be Zune, Basantis, same on the left side. And then my Utah guy, who have you pronounced it right yet?
They told us it's not Coley. It's
Coley. Yeah, that's what they call him. It's the short version of Coley. Him at center. Naboo Dewberry battled it out at right guard, and Reed Adams at right tackle. That was something I was hinting at a week ago, saying that if Reed Adams ends up being your best or second best tackle, even if he's a better guard than he is tackle, I think you have to explore that. And I think that's what they're doing right now. They're just checking things out. And I saw somebody posted a starting lineup from the scrimmage, and again, it led to people freaking out. Which, by the way, is like, let's say said player, pick a player from a couple of years ago. I don't know. Dustin Harris from over here up the road, cornerback that had a slow, he was a return guy special. Then as his career went on, he got better and better at corner. Stephen Terrell from Allen High School did the same thing. They both started and played key roles on that 2012 team. But it's like, if you see one of them, those type guys that maybe aren't there yet, and you see them, it's some Twitter list of who started with the first team of scrimmage one week in, and you freak out and put in writing, especially on Twitter where the kids can see, but I'm talking about anywhere, and you say, oh my God, we're screwed if that guy's still starting. That's a bad sign. We suck at that position. A, you don't know whether or not that's true or not. B, why do you? I don't understand what goes through your head to say, I'm going to put this in writing and put it on a platform where this kid I'm talking about can see it, just because I'm mad that his name is on a depth chart that I saw on Twitter. sorry, I'm bitching today, and I'm just, that stuff just pisses me off.
Yeah.
And you can act like, I mean, I know times have changed on social media, and people in other media can sit back and think they're above. You're not above crap. Like, that's wrong then. It's wrong now. It shouldn't. You can comment in a different way. So don't come at me with the, oh, criticism's not allowed. My ass, it's not allowed. Have you seen our message board? For anyone that ever says that, go look at our damn message board and tell me criticism and complaining is not allowed. Miss me with that crap too. There's a different way to say it though. And by the way, so here's how fall camp and scrimmages tend to go sometimes. Sometimes the incumbents, sometimes the returnees are going to get the benefit of the doubt for a week or so, or through the first scrimmage or so. Sometimes guys have actually stood out for a week that you don't expect, and they're getting rewarded. Sometimes, or they're getting rewarded in the play. Hey, let's see what they can do.
Let's see what they can do there. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, in a 2-hour scrimmage, whoever starts out with the ones, particularly at a position like the secondary where they're constantly rotating, or at receiver where they're constantly rotating for now, whoever starts out, it doesn't even mean they're going to get the majority of the first team reps. It might not. It just like, so to look at that list and try to extrapolate much, I think is a major reach. Now, as we get on with fall camp, what matters is who starts to evolve as the regular first team guys. Who starts to evolve as the regular starters, the regular, quick guys off the bench and like that. Albert Regis is a guy that's been getting a lot of ones. He might start. If he does, DJ Hicks is going to play a ton. It might motivate DJ Hicks. DJ Hicks might pass him in the next couple of weeks and start. Who knows? Either way, they're fine. And I think no matter what happens at corner, I think they're fine there, by the way. That's a position, that and safety, that secondary, I'm starting to feel really good about both talent and depth at that spot.
I want to bring that up on the other side because I'll just bring it up on the other side. Right now we're talking Costa Vida. Great place to go. Get your lunch on, your breakfast on, your dinner on. The food is fantastic. They're in South College Station. Fresh Mex done the right way where every ingredient does matter. I love going there and getting the quesadillas. In fact, Elizabeth went just on Thursday the other day and brought home some quesadillas. Fantastic. If you want the chicken, if you want the beef, whatever it may be, the shrimp, it's so good when you go to Costa Vida where the food is done the right way. As I mentioned, every ingredient matters. And in the morning, if you're on your way to work and you say, you know what, I need to do this meeting here, go there, have your coffee, get your breakfast taco on, and just enjoy the great food there at Costa Vida. You can find them in South College Station. They are Aggie owned and operated. When you go there, say hi to Holly for us. 4501 Mills Park Circle in College Station. That is 4501 Mills Park Circle in South College Station. It's Costa Vida. All right, we're back here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. So you said something there that caught my attention. You were talking about cornerback, and you feel good about that position. Is that a fair way of saying what you said? You feel
corner? Yeah, I feel good about corner.
Okay, and the reason I say that to you is I want to remind people how you spoke a year ago at this exact time talking about the secondary. You didn't speak ill of them, but you had concerns entering the season about the secondary.
That was my biggest, that and O-line were my biggest concerns entering the season, and it ended up being, and again, it's people forget. I get it. I could do this. I could do this if I wanted to, yell and scream and get animated and say coaches suck, players suck. They don't know. It's not my style. Never has been. Never will be. But I will point out concerns and areas that could ultimately cost you games. Areas where they need to shore up in recruiting or the portal, or where injuries have hurt you. Like we're trying to break down this team's chances this season. We're trying to break down by position, by unit, as a football team. What's going to get them to beat Notre Dame? What's going to get them to beat Texas? What's going to get them to win any and all games in between, or none of the above? And when we're doing that throughout the offseason, I've spent a lot of time last year worrying about the secondary. I spent a lot worry, whether you want to know what you want to call it. I was on with Cole and Mac this morning, and Cole said, "You sound really worried about receiver." I said, "Well, worried is not. It's just, it is the position. It's one of the couple positions I'm concerned about. It's like I need to see it to, we've got a body of work on everybody so far. You can always change that body of work. I think Amari Daniels did that. I think I could give you a million examples. I was talking last week to a guy that did that more so than most A&M athletes I've ever seen, in Manny Obaseki. Okay, do you remember Manny Obaseki as a freshman? And then a sophomore, he broke his hand. It was like his confidence wasn't there. And then throughout most of this season, and then all of a sudden, with a few conference games left, light switch went off. He has looked like a 5-star, not just a 5-star athlete, but a 5-star basketball player ever since. It happens constantly in college sports because the guys are so young and they figure it out. They don't always. They figure it out at different times. So receiver doesn't have to be a bad position. I said earlier, Noah Thomas is getting better and better. You can see it. I really like the 2 true freshmen. It's early. It's too early to expect a lot out of them, but I like those evaluations a lot. I mentioned Cyrus Allen. We've seen what Moose can do. We've seen what Jade can do. But I'm talking about SEC, win you football game, wide receiving course. You're being very naive if you haven't watched those over the last 12 years, because, my God, we've seen a lot of them. I've seen them in Baton Rouge. I've seen them in Tuscaloosa. I've seen them in Oxford. We got a first-hand glimpse of them for 2 years up at Clemson. We know what they look like.
Yep.
I watched a group of them last year in Austin. Now, all those guys left, but I've seen the highlights of the Bolden kid from when he was at Oregon State, Golden at U of H. I watched Isaiah Bond score a long touchdown against A&M, win a game against Auburn last year in the corner of the end zone.
You see it.
You know what it looks like, and so these guys got to get there. So it's until they do, I say, well, that's a position. Same thing with the O-line, although I think I see them as significantly improved. I'll tell you a position that every time I'm at practice, I go. One thing that encourages the hell out of me when I'm watching this defense, if I talk like that about the secondary, and then I look at that kind of middle of that defense, and I mean the middle to edge, and I see Cassius Howell and Rylan Kennedy and Malik Silla, who the other day when I was watching him, I thought had a really good practice, filling out. And then you go to linebacker. And, guys, if you haven't been out there, like what Scooby Williams looks like, what Solomon DeShields looks like. And then you go to, we know what Torian York. Torian York's like the least impressive physically, although he's really filled out. He's just a shorter, more compact guy, which I think serves him well with his style of play. You know what York brings to the table, and then you look at like Damian Sanford. I mean, those are good-looking linebackers. Jernigan, the true freshman. Like, you look at that linebacking core in pads, that is a very athletic-looking group to go with those edge guys. That second level of that defense, to me, physically, looks really, really good. And then you see it translate on the field some, too. Like, when you see them close and chase, I mean, at linebacker, you're not going to really learn what they're about until a team lines up, like Notre Dame probably will, try to run downhill right at you for 4 quarters. But, I mean, when they chase and close and cover, I mean, these are real speed guys and very athletic, and they're not small. They're not small by any means. Like, it's a good-sized, really athletic bunch. And I heard from my LSU guys, you know, that Tommy Moffitt was raving about that group in terms of what he had to work with during the offseason.
All right, let's hit a break here. Got to get back on the clock. We're talking about Rollo Insurance, the official insurance provider of TexAgs Radio. The difference is real, and obviously this is their home studio right here. They're an independent insurance company built around educating you on what you're paying for, doing the shopping for you so that you can accomplish your insurance goals. They are right here in College Station. That's where their headquarters are, but they're all over the great state of Texas with 53 offices in Texas. They got a Houston office. They've got one in the DFW. They've got one in Tyler. They got Central Texas, Austin, and San Antonio. They've got West Texas, everything outside of Texas, car insurance, homeowner insurance, farmers, ranchers, hobby farmers, business owners, and the priorities are the ones that are simple: God, family, and country. Check out the website, rolloinsurance.com. That is rolloinsurance.com. We'll call them up, 888-44-ROLLO, 888-44-ROLLO. It's Rollo Insurance. Breaking chairs here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Garner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. We got to do 24 and 24, but I do want to clarify something. Billy, you are not suggesting that Terry Bussey, because people are texting, is getting looks at running back. That's not what you're saying. You're just saying he's
I didn't even say anything close to that.
Yeah,
actually.
but people are they're.
Well, why would they? Because I specifically said I'm not saying that.
I know.
So why in the hell would people think that? This is why I hate doing radio. It really is. It's like, God, at least if you put it in writing, it's right there.
You hate doing radio?
I do. I don't hate sitting with you, but this is like the bane of my existence right here. This hour every week. No.
Really?
No, it's the transition from that to this. It's what is said versus what is
a portion of what you said, yes.
Which is why we've had such an issue with the transcribing, and they do such a great job. But it is hard work because Kay does a great job of understanding like how something's going to read as it said. Like it's just do people just take and pull it out of there? It's problematic. It's not fun. But the show with you is fun.
Oh, thank you. I was just looking for that.
I listen to it every day. I really enjoy it.
Oh, see, now I feel better.
I
about
just
myself.
I hate getting misquoted, and I really hate when it happens 30 seconds after I specifically said the exact opposite of that. I don't understand.
I'm going to do this because we're just now going to be on the right clock.
I didn't even say he was moving to receiver. I just said I think I would like to see that.
No,
frankly,
I think
I would like to see that because that dude is an explosive 5-star athlete.
Right.
And I think they just lost an explosive 5-star athlete. And that might be where the misinterpretation, because maybe they didn't hear me say, I'm not saying running back. I would like to see him get looks at receiver.
Sure.
Because they have depth at corner, and I still think there's an open path for an electric playmaker to emerge at receiver, whether that's Barber if he comes back, whether that's a true freshman. Bethel Roman can really run. Like, whoever that may be, there's a path there. At corner, there's a path, but that path includes having to pass all but one of B.J. Mays, Will Lee, Donovan Saunders, Javon Thomas, Bravion Rogers, Des Ricks, Tyreek Chappelle, Will Lee. Like, you've got to pass all but one of those guys as your path there. So that's all I'm saying about it.
Let's hit a break. We'll come back with 24 and 24 to close out the show. It's TexAgs Radio. Time to end the day with Double Days. Caller number 12, 979-693-1150. We're going to hook you up with your choice of a dozen pepperoni rolls or a large one-topping pizza from Double Dave's. They have your favorite pizza. They have your favorite pepperoni rolls. Reliable in-house delivery, bringing piping hot goodness straight to your door. Just click on doubledaves.com and your favorites are on their way. As a reminder, they are not open on Mondays. 24 and 24 in the last 5 minutes of the show. Number 10, Noah Thomas. They are committed to delivering an exceptional experience. Speaking of FBS Appliance, from start to finish, you can trust them to provide unparalleled service and support every step of the way because FBS wants to be your trusted appliance store. The website is factorybuilderstores.com. We touched on them earlier. We can kind of extend it, but Noah Thomas at number 10, Billy.
Yep, and I think he could be a guy that, if he can stay out there every week, I think he's a guy that could be a breakout star in this conference this year. You look at his numbers last year, and it's he had, 3 touchdowns in that first game, finished with 5. But I felt like he was getting better. Again, another guy that towards the end of that season, Noah has bought into what Mike Elko expects of these guys. He has filled out. He probably still needs to fill out a little more, but he has filled out a noticeable amount, in my opinion, in that first offseason under Tommy Moffitt. He had a good spring, really good spring, actually. And then he has entered fall camp and been even better. So Noah Thomas is a guy that is clearly working hard to become a better receiver. And he's got all the talent in the world. He's got the leaping ability. He's got the catch radius, the ball awareness. He's a big target, even though he's slight. He's such a long target. He's a tough cover on slants. He doesn't shy away from contact, which he gets part of why he gets banged around. And man, he is athletic as hell. He is a 10 out of 10 athlete when the football's in the air. He's a 10 out of 10 when it comes to locating, finding, and making a play on the ball before the DB can. He's a leaper. I think with Noah, 2 things. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to get some help. I don't think he's ready to be that guy that's the, go-to. Even when teams focus on me to take me out of the game, I can still make there needs to be a secondary guy to keep opponents from being able to focus that much. He can't be getting over the top help every play and expect Noah to be a breakout star. There's got to be help. And if they can get help, I think Noah could be that dude this year. I think he can be a high touchdown producer. I think he can be a down the field, make plays guy over the top. And then I also think he can really kill you in that intermediate. I think he can be a guy that makes plays all over the field, scores you a lot of touchdowns, and again, like I said, a breakout star in the conference. But he has to do 2 things, and part of it is on his side, like just continue to get better. Don't, you're not going to gain a lot of weight now. The season's here, but don't lose. Work hard to make sure you don't lose everything you gained in this offseason, because I think that's important. Mass and weight and physicality that he's added. And then the second part comes from, getting that help. And that's what he can't control. And that's what, Colin Klein and Connor Wigman will have a big role in that. But really it's just his fellow receivers, guys needing to step up and kind of say, okay. Another thing that could really help Noah is that running game. Because if the Aggies can run the football and set up play action, that's the guy that can kill you over the top. Because he can beat you, but even if it's one-on-one deep down the field, Connor Wigman knows, and you saw him do that with Moose a couple of years ago, and he's done it with Noah when Noah's been healthy, is I'm going to throw it up and let him go get it. Yeah. And that's what so many of these elite receivers in the SEC, what sets them apart is their ability to, if you're covered, it doesn't matter, because if it's one-on-one, we will throw you the football, and those great receivers will catch it. We saw that last year against A&M. So many of those receivers, we'd say, man, the cornerbacks look like they're there, but they just don't turn around. Well, a lot of corners don't turn. That's one of the hardest skills. That's what separates the elite from the good. A lot of good corners have a hard time turning and finding the ball before receivers in this league do. Noah Thomas is, again, I think he's elite in that department.
Thank you, Billy.
All right, David.
All right, that's going to do it for TexAgs Radio here on a Monday. Got a great show planned for you that I haven't planned yet. That's going to be tomorrow. Thanks so much for watching and listening. We'll see you mañana.